With Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And good afternoon, everybody. Game Day, Uncensored here with you on 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin here with you alongside my co-host, Alejandro Solana, who looks way better than I do, suited him. But you dress like a professional for Miami Heat Media Day, dude.
I do. I
Look
pretend.
at you.
I pretend.
Wow.
I do. You take issue with me rocking a suit to all these Heat games. We both are out there all the time covering the games.
I just don't know who you're doing it for. You're not on camera.
I am today.
That's true. But for us,
Yeah.
Like you're not, it's like the rare thing that's still not on camera is the Heat broadcast. So I'm just I know Jax has to go on television. Tommy Todd's just a pro. You can't leave what you're going to do. He's going to be suited and booted.
Right.
But listen, you have like a cash kind of look today too. It's like a casual blazer or something. I don't know. So, it's better. But yes, you look way better because you had to take yearbook pictures today.
All right.
What is that? What
it's Monday Night Football tonight.
It is.
And yeah, I had to take a little yearbook photo with the Miami Heat. So I brought out the old tie, dusted it off.
I felt neglectful today on the regular show. So I'm glad we get to do Game Day Uncensored because I felt very neglectful of football today because it was a bit of a Heat whirlwind.
Yeah.
With everything going on. But dude, that was bad last week. That was whew.
Tobin, correct me if I'm wrong. That was as bad as it's been in a while. I mean, Thursday Night Football against Buffalo was abysmal, right? Like Tua getting hurt, another concussion, the fencing, everything that went into the game leading up to that point was arguably people were calling it the worst day in Dolphins franchise history, perhaps, right? Like up there.
To be determined.
Right. But the only thing that could have made that worse was following it up with what followed it up, which was the Dolphins clearly not being in a position to win games without Tua Tagovailoa.
Maybe you and I should just stop expectations. Expectations are bad because we just go into these things. We're like, come on, Mike McDaniel's got to be able to scheme something up. Skylar Thompson's got to be able to do something. And it's just like they just have let us down dreadfully in every expectation we've had of them this year. I mean, it's been a nightmare season as it is, and this game tonight is not without it, especially from an injury standpoint. But, Solana, I'm just looking for them for one time. Could Mike McDaniel go into a game? I wasn't necessarily expecting them to win, even though I did pick them to win by a low score. I was just like, there's got to be a time where this guy, with all the talent that he has, is going to exceed expectations of a result, because every time we have no expectations or the expectations are, yeah, they should drub this team. They're a lot more talented than them. Maybe we could look at that tonight. I don't know. I'm very scared, but dude, it had to be, you got to have some level of a respectable performance, and to go wet the bed like that on the road, I get it. Things are against them in some places, but man, just to have that kind of a showing was very, very disappointing.
I don't think we were setting the bar too high. I didn't expect them to win that game, but not because like Seattle was that much better, but Seattle's at home and the Dolphins are without Tua. I expected Miami to at least put up a fight. Here's the reality of the situation. I know we'll get into it a bit further later on in the show, Tobin, but the Dolphins did not have the proper plan in place for a situation where Tua Tagovailoa was going to have to miss times. But they told us they had a plan in place. They sold us on Skylar Thompson. They sold us on this guy being the person that they've had 3 years developing in their system for that situation, and asking a head coach who's now 3 years into his career as a head coach to win a game with a backup quarterback that he hand-selected and has had 3 years to develop is not high expectations. It's actually what NFL coaches do all the time, and they continue to do all the time across the league.
Every week.
And Mike McDaniel not only looked above his head, and Skylar Thompson not only looked like he doesn't belong in an NFL field, but nothing else worked outside of that, aside from the second half defensive effort. Nothing else worked.
All I'm asking is just like, yeah, could one time, and you're right, like every week, I see around the league, and I'm looking and I'm like, backup performance, Sam Darnold, look at what the hell he's doing with the Vikings. I guess you can't even really count that story anymore, the way that he's going. But Joe Flacco comes in yesterday, gets the Colts a win. First win. Like Andy Dalton making the Panthers look respectable.
Yeah.
Respectable. That's all I want. Respect. Not this. Just a little respect. And you had a team that got a interception on the 6, and they couldn't get in the end zone.
Can't get in.
What the hell is that?
You can't be considered an offensive guru. By the way, I would like to preface all this. I am not calling for the Dolphins to fire Mike McDaniel. I still like Mike McDaniel as long as he's on the sideline and not talking, because I can't listen to him anymore. So I'm not like that. That's not where I'm at. I would like to preface this because it kind of sounds like we're crushing him. He deserves to be crushed.
Yeah.
Because the team, not only was the offense inept, Tobin, there's miscommunication the entire time. The drive at the end of the half was embarrassing again, just like it was against Buffalo. Nothing's clicking with the offense. And he was brought here to fix the offense. And again, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You're with your backup quarterback, but you can't look like you're lost. You can't look like you have zero ability to communicate with your backup quarterback. And he looks like he has zero command of the offense that they sold us on him knowing for 3 years.
Yep.
That to me is the issue. Not that you lost, not that a better team without Tua was able to beat the Miami Dolphins, but that you looked absolutely atrocious and you had zero preparation. That's what it looked like. They had zero preparation with 10 days to prepare for that situation.
So you don't want him on the hot seat, but do you want to strip him of guru status?
He cannot be considered, nobody can be considered a offensive guru if that is what you're getting in arguably the most important part of the season right now. Without Tua, 4 games that are salvageable to win, 4 games against teams that they should be in the fight with a backup quarterback, and you got 0 from him. You had 4 plays. You would have made it a 1-score game at the 6. 4 plays to get points, and you couldn't get any points? Get out of here.
Not only that, but then, like, even with everything going wrong, you got this incredible turnover by Calais Campbell and Zach Sealer. Any kind of life. All right, guys, here you go. Nah, don't worry about it.
Nothing.
Don't worry about it. We're not doing that today.
Nothing.
So I'm just, it's horribly frustrating. And the thing that I think is most frustrating about, look, it's the toughest of the non-Tua games for sure. Was going to go to Seattle and get a win, but they just look so far from getting a win. It's not just, you know what? They almost pulled that one out. Oh, you know what? They put a scare into that team. Nah, they just looked inept, and they've looked inept for the majority of this season. They looked inept against the Bills, and even the Jags, who are like the worst team in football right now. You were in a dogfight with them for the entire way. So I don't know, Solana. I don't know. Maybe they're getting just rapidly exposed, and that's possible. But then again, you win tonight, you're kind of treading water. You're afloat at least a little bit. It buys you a lot.
The reality is you are one punch ball out from being 0-3 going into this game. You have a quarterback starting for you that has been here for 13 days?
Yep.
12 days?
I don't even think he's moving to his apartment yet, he said.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I mean,
to go home, is he sleeping on a futon? Does he got like an air mattress?
You
never know with furniture deliveries. It's really like it's a squirrely thing down here.
It's awful. I'm moving in a new house in like 2 weeks, and
Good luck.
I'm not feeling good about the entire process. I don't know how the Dolphins rebound from this. They have to win this game though, Tobin, if I'm going to buy back into this team and buy back into this head coach as being like playoff contenders.
Mm-hmm.
And think about the expectations we set for them at the beginning of the year. Bro, those are out the window now. Even if Tua gets back.
Yeah, I mean, look, he does change a lot, but it's one of these things where like it's going to show me something a lot mostly about the head coach than it is the players, because I feel like it's on him to galvanize this entire group, bring them together, and to get them through these 3 dreadful games. You have Tennessee, New England, and then a Colts team that maybe has a better quarterback with Joe Flacco. I don't really know what to think about that. That's a little bit of a wild card right now. But at least these next 2 weeks, you know, you're going to be in a position to get yourself off the canvas a little bit. And I just think for the Dolphins, that's a huge thing that they have completely gone out to these things. They get chin checked immediately, and they're just scrambling, dude. They're scrambling. They have no idea how to get themselves right. And I think that goes to coaching. That goes to Mike McDaniel. And so, like, it's weird because, you know, I feel like in pros, you know, sometimes we're harder on the players, and in college we're always harder on the coach. But this one just feels like he wears a lot of the burden. And I know he's telling everybody, bring it, because he can. Good, we are, because we're tired of the nonsense, and especially everything that could have gone wrong with this team has gone wrong, and some way worse. And some of these problems, you told us, you and your boy Chris Greer, you're laughing at us.
Boom. And to me, yes, this is on Mike McDaniel, but it's also a direct reflection of a roster not ready to compete, and not ready to have the necessary depth to overcome injuries, man. And that is a massive flaw in the way Chris Greer built this team. And look, you can say that's my opinion, and it is, but part of that was proven the other day. Your offensive line, which you scoffed at everybody about, all the media, you know, me and Mike, we actually think the offensive line is better. You scoffed at the idea that you should have put more resources into the offensive line, and guess what? Through 3 games, your offensive line has looked like ass, and game after game, you're losing them. And then the guys who are coming in to replace them are the guys we know are not good enough to keep your quarterback upright. And you have guys you invested money into on the offense, either A, not on the field, or B, they're on the field, but you can't get them the ball.
I'm glad you mentioned the thing with him too about saying the O-line. It's funny, we come off media day, right? And we're all wondering, what is Jimmy Butler going to say? You know, what's he going to say? And he just, you know, he no-sailed it. All the drama, all of it, no-sailed it. You have departments for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think with Chris Greer, you've been doing this long enough. Why would you say something like that?
Crazy.
Why would you can say I'm confident, but why would you take it the extra step and saying, we're laughing at you?
Crazy.
We're laughing at you that you think our 10-man left tackle. We're laughing at you about that. We're laughing at you because you guys think that our depth isn't good enough. And I just think, how do you not think that's going to bite you back in the ass when you say something like that?
Tobin, there are certain guys around the NFL who have built up the rapport, maybe, but also the resume, where they can have a couple down years, but still kind of flaunt at the media, sure. Right? You can look around the league. The Patriots have built that up over decades of winning. The Chiefs are obviously in that conversation now. The Miami Dolphins, under Chris Greer, are the epitome of mediocrity. The epitome of mediocrity. Never too bad to actually improve your team, and never good enough to win anything meaningful. The worst place to be in the NFL. He hasn't built up the resume to laugh at the media for asking fair questions about the most or the worst built part of the roster under his tenure since he's been here.
Yeah. I don't know. And then like tonight, like this is an interesting like storyline for what the lineup will look like tonight. Because are you going to start your second round pick? Like, are you going to go out there? Is that giant monstrosity, Patrick Ball, who was turning dudes into preseason memes, is he going to play? Or are we going to do another thing where we're like, like, do you really believe in it? Or do you just say you believe in it? And then when it comes down to actually believing in it, you're going to go with Kendall Lamb. And you're going to go with some veteran who's a very respectable player. That's fine. But like, all right, the perfect, you knew drafting this guy. Okay. Best case scenario, redshirt year. Worst case scenario, could be started by week 4 because we have Teron Armstead.
Tobin, when the Dolphins took Austin Jackson in 2019, right? The 2020 draft.
Yes.
The same draft as Tua and Noah Benogany. That first year was always going to be kind of like rebuild year. They're taking on a project. Those things make sense, right? You take on a player, hey, you know what? Maybe he won't be ready this year, but next year he'll be our starting left tackle, even though he drafted him to be a left tackle and he's a right tackle. Whatever. In this year, where your expectations are through the roof, people are saying it's either AFC title game or bust. At the very least, win a playoff game. You don't draft projects, man. Look around the league. There's first round, second round, third round guys contributing week after week. And this is not an indictment on Patrick Paul. He could end up being a phenomenal left tackle, but clearly he's not ready to start week after week. And the Dolphins are not in the position where they could draft a project. That's what they did. They needed somebody who could help them win now because that's the window they're in. Win now mode.
It's really weird to do. I know you got to always keep the cycle going, but it is strange that they kind of went that route of taking luxuries, right? Because I don't know, maybe Chop Robinson and a lot of the pressure metrics that people have on him are very, very good. And I certainly, the play against Buffalo really stands out. The one good one where he kind of like put a little pressure on Josh Allen, but very strange that like you would go about this because, when you have a roster like this, very top heavy, a lot of investment into your star players. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm glad that everybody got paid. I'm not going to sit here and say I was upset about it, but it's kind of strange that you wouldn't supplement that with cheap guys who could play right away. It's a little weird.
It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't when you're looking at the situation and the full context of, okay, you're starting left tackle who you need to keep your best player, Tua Tagovailoa, the most important player, upright, is going to miss 5 games. You just know it. 4 to 5 games for sure. He's going to miss some. I'm
surprised he lasted this long, to be honest with you.
They acknowledge that. Like they know that. So why wouldn't you go find a suitable
guy who's
replacement?
It's too dangerous for him to practice. Great guy. We all acknowledge when he can do what he does. Elite.
The more and more you break down and you unpack the layers to how badly this roster was built. Honestly, I mean, I had my questions coming into the year. I just thought, hey, the offense will be good enough to overcome it. But now you lose Tua and you need depth. Right. You need guys to step in and contribute, and you need your offensive line to help out a backup quarterback, even though that backup quarterback that they picked and they developed looked like he was a deer in headlights. Looked like he didn't belong.
It was rough.
Nothing about that team.
How do you get more nervous? Like, I don't understand that. How do you get more? Was he nervous? Like he thinks, hey, if I have a decent game, I'm making $10 million next year at least because I'm a good backup quarterback. Like, what happened? That guy went and started a playoff game. How did he look so shook? I know Seattle's loud. I get it. Seattle's loud.
But come on, man.
But like, dude, what was that?
Buffalo's not loud. Buffalo in the winter in the playoffs is not loud. You're going to tell me there's like that significant of a difference? No, he wasn't ready with 10 days to prepare, and that's on the damn head coach. And I'll tell you another thing, Tobin. I don't know how, and I know we'll talk about it. I don't know how this gets fixed with a guy who's been here for less than 2 weeks and doesn't have a damn mattress. I don't know. I hope by the end of this show, by 7:30 kickoff, you and I can figure that out and you can sell me on it and I'll buy in. I hope this works. I don't know how it does.
We need that mattress Mac, that guy from Houston. Like we need a Miami version of that. So somebody can get Snoop Huntley a bed,
please.
As if he wins tonight, that guy deserves to sleep on an actual mattress. Get him a night at the Ritz or something, Stephen Ross.
If he wins this game tonight, hey, Snoop Huntley, you're driving to the stadium listening, you can have Tobin's bed. All right.
I do have a nice bed. It's not quite like the Dion Waiters full size room, but it's a comfy bed. Dude. Hey. Lots to dive into here on Game Day Uncensored. Of course, we have Adam Beasley who will stop by. Omar Kelly will stop by. But we'll get all the angles from this upcoming Monday Night Football matchup. Back with more Game Day Uncensored after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Ed Moore Sawgrass Buick.
Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back in, everybody. It's game day, uncensored here, 560 WQAM. We got ourselves a 7:30 kick from Hard Rock Stadium. Dolphins, Titans getting going today at 7:30. A double dip. Got to be honest with you, Solana. I can't imagine much of the rest of the nation is going to be into this game as much as they are Seattle, Detroit tonight. I feel like Man Campbell's kind of got the attention of everybody.
Yep.
But this one it does feel like a big stakes one. This does it's a shame because all of the talk should have this game been of exercising the demons. It should have been, remember that nightmare that ruined the season last year on Monday Night Football where the Tennessee Titans had this improbable comeback. The Dolphins were literally dancing on their grave and somehow blew it. And we were all like, they'll probably be all right. What a bunch of fools we look like.
This should have been the revenge game for the Dolphins. Come out and just lay the damn hammer on Tennessee. And it's set up perfectly for that because Tennessee looks awful and Will Levis looks awful.
Yeah.
He's had some of the worst interceptions, not just this year, that you'll ever see from a quarterback.
Coach hates him.
Absolutely. Wants him out of there. And I think the team hates him too, by the way. This would have been the perfect storm. And instead, it's like, hey, we're hoping a quarterback we picked off somebody's practice squad is going to save the day. And I don't know. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't think anybody knows how it's going to look. And to be honest with you, Tobin, I don't think Mike McDaniel knows how it's going to look.
I mean, how could you? This is the interesting thing. I think the writing was on the wall listening to his very, very long comments this week. And you had to sit there reading between the ums of what he was leaning. And it felt very much all week like it was leaning he was going to play Snoop Huntley. And that ultimately ends up being the decision. But do you like this decision? Do you think a guy who has been here, I'll take it now, the choice is him and Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle's been here like 4 more days than he has. It's not like Tim Boyle has been here all the time. But do you feel like this is the right choice? Tim Boyle looked viable, I guess I could say, as the description. He kind of almost got a touchdown pass to Durham Smythe, but has mostly sucked his NFL career. Do you like this decision to go with Snoop tonight?
I don't think you have another decision. I don't think Tim Boyle gives you a chance to win. At least like the factor of we don't know with Snoop Huntley intrigues me. And the idea that, okay, last week, nothing worked with Skylar Thompson. Now at least you have a quarterback who is a dual threat, who can make plays. We know he can because we've seen it. He's not a starting quarterback by any stretch of the imagination because he would have a landing spot somewhere. He would be a backup somewhere. But at the very least, he's capable of coming in, making plays for a team if the game plan is suitable for that. And to me, Mike McDaniel, offensive guru, had 6 days or 7 days or 8 days to work on a game plan for Snoop Huntley, where he puts him in a position to go and make some plays. So I as far as the decision, do I love it? No, but I think it's the only decision because Skylar wasn't going to be ready today, right? Like the dude has hurt ribs. He's going to go out there, get hit again with a lackluster offensive line, and you would have had to, again, go to Tim Boyle or Snoop Huntley, whoever the backup is, like eliminate that domino effect and just go straight to somebody who you feel can, at the very least, make something happen with his feet.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing here is like he does have some skill sets that we're not used to seeing with the quarterback position. Certainly, Tua is one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the league. And then you idiots, not talking to anybody in particular, but he produces my radio show, wanted him to go out there running all over the place and ruin the season, Marcos. But now you have a guy who definitely has some of that element to his game. And I think we've talked about this, like the backup quarterback all over this. I mean, it's probably unfair of me to expect him to get something out of Tyler Huntley. But again, like if you are a coach and you do have these weapons, like let's not lose sight of the fact that you still have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Jonnu Smith was supposed to be a thing. I mean, it really hasn't been thus far
At all.
but you have two of the best receivers in the league. Can you get anything going? Like, at least can you get in the damn end zone
once? That's it. Just get in the end zone once. How can you have a weaponry as great as the Dolphins and not figure out how to put together some drives, right? Like something positive throughout the course of a game. That's what was so perplexing against Seattle, which was at no point did it look like Skylar Thompson had any ability to get the ball to his playmakers. You just hope that over a course of 7 days here, the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, have figured out a way to give Tim Huntley Snoop Huntley the resources where he's going to be able to at least get Tyreek Hill the ball, get Jalen Waddle the ball. It shouldn't be that difficult, Tobin.
Well, speaking of the cheetah, this was him earlier in the week saying the offense, they have to stop shooting themselves in the foot. Here was Tyreek Hill.
We're just not doing a lot of things right, man. We got a great team. We'll get a big game. Like, we'll either get, illegal formation or we'll get a holding. So we always starting like drives behind the 8 ball. Like, we always shoot ourselves in the foot. Like, we always have like a lot of penalties. But like we'll get a big 12-yard gain. Flag will be 1st and 20. So it's tough as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator. It's tough calling plays whenever it's 1st and 20, and it's like you already got plays already designed for like 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 5 or whatever. So like we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot and start trusting our fundamentals, trusting our techniques, and like relying on each other and playing as a team. And leaders and captains, we've done a great job of telling both sides of the ball that I've done a great job of telling the young guys, hey, trust your technique, trust your fundamental. Don't try to go outside of that and make a play. You know what I'm saying? And it all fall together, man.
Yeah, well, I would like Julian Hill and his technique to stop being that of Khabib Nurmagomedov, which is choke out everybody he's trying to block.
Hey, Tobin, are you still putting in anytime touchdown prop bets on Julian Hill?
Sure did. Yep, plus 2,000 today. I got it right outside as I was waiting to get in the doors of Heat Media Day today, because he wasn't on the board like all weekend, and then finally they threw him up there at plus 2,000. I'm like, this is the week. 3 yards away. He almost got it, dude.
Yeah, but you might as well just hand me
he
the
plays
money,
the moat,
Tobin.
but I know, I understand. And I've looked at my lost bets on this, and I could buy my son a new pair of shoes. I could get him new cleats for the flag football season, but instead I need to see this through. He plays the most snaps even though he apparently has the technique of a rhinoceros. He plays the most out of any tight end, and he was so close. He doesn't appear to be able to catch a cold. I basically think that his position is battering ram. That's the only thing I could really. This is the only thing that computes for me with Julian Hill. But I'm pot committed at this point, Solana. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to keep betting on Joel Anthony Hands to catch a touchdown, that's on you, man. Like you keep riding with it. I was with you until last week, and I just can't do it anymore. I also put my entire life savings on Skylar Thompson over 6.5 rushing yards. That didn't hit, so I'm in shambles right now as it refers to like prop bets and Hard Rock Bet. But Tyreek Hill makes such a great point, which is we're shooting ourselves. We're already in a bad situation, right? Nothing's going right, but you're shooting yourself in the foot. And it's why, Tobin, I mentioned to you last week, the way you win games with a backup quarterback is you do it up front. You do it in the trenches.
Yep.
And I had my doubts, my skepticisms about this team being able to just pound the rock, pound the football. Can they give it to Achane? Can they give it to whoever's out there? We know Mostert's not going to play. Chris Brooks, Achane, whoever, Jeff Wilson Jr. Can they just move the chains and try to get some field goals, try to get the offense in motion by doing it on the ground? And I think we learned very quickly that they weren't capable of doing it last week. I really want to see a commitment to that again today because, man, there were a couple plays where Achane ran right up the middle, got a 12-yard gain. That was on the first or second series for the Dolphins offensively, and then they went away from it. And then later on in the game, there was another instance where I think it was Chris Brooks who picked up 5 or 6 yards.
Yep.
Very next play, penalty, and it's a 2nd and 13 again. And you just don't trust whether it's Snoop Huntley, whether it's Tim Boyle or Skylar Thompson to bail you out in that situation. The Dolphins need to run the football today. Get some yardage on the ground. Give yourself a chance on 3rd down because we know 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. We know who's getting the ball, Alec Ingold, and he's not picking it up because everybody in the NFL knows exactly where that play is going, and it's proven to be failure time and time again.
He's not Lusaka Polite. I thought after week 1 he was Lusaka Polite. He's not Lusaka Polite.
Yeah,
Quite frankly, I'm ready for him to go sit next to Steve Goldstein and Kim Bokamper because he did a better job on the preseason broadcast than he has so far this football season.
He happened to be excellent on that.
He was good on the broadcast. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He did like 3 quarters with them during the preseason.
They were probably tired of him.
I do, now that you mentioned it, I have to go back, delete some Lusaka Polite 2.0 tweets that I had up since the preseason.
The penalties last week, 11 penalties for 85 yards. This is from the Miami Herald. The Dolphins enter week 4 ranked 5th in the league. This is, of course, before this past week, so I don't know where this is at, but this was entering Sunday. The Dolphins entered 5th in the league in penalties with 27, 2nd in false starts with 7, 3rd in penalty yardage, tied for 5th with 6 offensive holding penalties. Julian Hill, going into Sunday, was the 2nd most penalized player in the league, 2nd only to our old friend Laramie Tunsil.
Crazy. That is crazy, man.
Yeah. I feel like Laramie Tunsil plays every snap. I mean, he's a left tackle, so Julian Hill, he's not playing now. He's playing the most out of the tight ends, but he's not a whole game.
But if you have your tight end out there that often, the guy, as you're saying, is just bulldozing people. Why aren't you running the football?
I don't know.
Right? I saw a few minutes ago the Dolphins have elevated D. Eskridge again. So
cool.
Again, another wide receiver who's been here 10 days?
Yep.
Is now you're relying on to make plays. It was our biggest issue against Buffalo, which was before Tua goes out, it's 3rd and long or 2nd and long. You're throwing 20-yard passes, and your 2 best players, the guys you committed all that money to, are on the sideline, and you're throwing to guys who've been on the team for less than a month. In Robbie Chosen's case, he was there 6 days before he's getting passes thrown to him for 20-plus yards, and it just, you can't wrap your head around how that makes any sense from the head coach who's calling the plays. And to me, I look at it the same way. If you're going to try to give Skylar Thompson a chance to throw the football, maybe Julian Hill shouldn't be out on the field. You know, what's the point? If Julian Hill's out there, run the damn ball.
Well, we'll figure out what these Dolphins are going to do with this offense. They're going to do it behind Stu Huntley. We will hear from some of his Dolphins teammates going into this week and what the new Dolphins quarterback is going to bring to the table. Game Day Uncensored, back with more after this.
WQAM, broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall.
on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Can Jalen Waddle get a damn touchdown to make Stephen Ross happy today on national television?
On national TV.
That guy loves it. That guy loves a Jalen Waddle dance.
There's nothing better for Stephen Ross than salvage his season, get a dub on Monday Night Football, and hit us with a little dance, even though he doesn't do the waddle, right? Like he
would Stephen Ross,
right?
No, he does. He almost looks like he's making love.
He's doing like the hocus pocus or something.
He feels feelings when Jalen Waddle scores. It makes him happy.
The hokey.
I think he simply got not that Jalen Waddle's not excellent, but I'm pretty sure he just got the extension based on the dance.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I love it.
Yeah, like I love the idea of Chris Greer going to Stephen Ross and saying, "Hey, you know the guy that dances? We should pay him." He's like, "Oh yeah, I like
perfect.
that. I like that.
I like that. That's perfect. give him the bag." Is that what the kids say? That is what they say, Mr. Ross. That is what they say.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel announced on Saturday that Snoop Huntley is going to start at quarterback. Tim Boyle's the backup. Did make the Pro Bowl, as with the Baltimore Ravens. That was a year where a lot of guys got hurt. Also, it wasn't a real Pro Bowl. They kind of did fly, but he did make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl.
That's true. Although Mac Jones may be replacing Trevor Lawrence soon. You want to talk about coaches fed up with people. This Doug Peterson, whoo, frosty in Jacksonville, dude.
What's a worse situation? We talked about this last week. What's a worse situation, the Dolphins or the Jacksonville Jaguars? Because I could make the argument at least your quarterback's hurt with Miami, right?
I think it's the Jaguars because I genuinely think the kid is shook. Like I never thought Trevor Lawrence was all that, but I genuinely think the guy looks like he has lost all confidence now. Like he's almost where Tua was 2 years ago,
right?
When he was coming into his first year with McDaniel. Yes, Tua. Certainly, the durability questions are a question, but like this is the NFL. Literally, every quarterback is getting lit up every single week. You're basically playing roulette if they get through these things. I mean, I don't know if you watched Aaron Rodgers at the end of yesterday's game, which, by the way, Jets. That saved my weekend, dude.
Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers. That is a collision course waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, here's my take on the Jets really quickly. I'll run this by you. Told me, let me know how you feel about it. I don't know if they're good or not. I don't think they are, but they have looked good, right? They look good a couple weeks ago. They've had flashes.
Okay.
I don't know if they're good or not. But here's what I do know. No team that loses to Bo Nix is winning a Super Bowl.
Agreed.
And I feel good about that. I feel really good.
I was so mad at Sean Payton yesterday for kicking that field goal because I'm like, no, like how this is gonna go. But little did I know the Jets' power is like none other, and they also were going to miss a game-winning field goal.
Robert Saleh, though, he just wants to run the ball. He's like, I have Aaron Rodgers, but I'm just gonna pound the ball.
Yep.
We're gonna pound the rock. Don't worry about it, Aaron. Save your stamina for later in the year.
No need. But Snoop Huntley, Hallandale High, very cool story. Local kid. We have done this, Bevy, with the local kids starting, but he says it's a dream. Some teammates do have experience with him, including Calais Campbell, who played with him in Baltimore, and this was the Canes giant earlier in the week, talking about what Huntley brings to the table.
We call him Snoop, but Snoop is a guy who is going to be very prepared. He can make every throw. I think he has a good poise in the pocket, and then he can create with his legs, which I think is something that, with the weapons we have at receiver and the way people have to guard us, when you can really make people pay with your legs, there's going to be some opportunities there. And I think that's a place where we can really exploit going forward, or at least if they have to adjust and account for him and his running ability as well, it should give us some more opportunities to hit some bigger throws.
There you go. Calais Campbell earlier in the week.
Well, if you had to guess, Tobin, he completes a pass over 30 yards?
I think so. I think he could. Yeah, I think he could.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be scared. That's the one thing. And when they brought him in, Mike McDaniel mentioned, like, he has been in this spot before because he had to replace Lamar Jackson, which is a big task. Like, Lamar Jackson was not only the MVP, a reigning MVP, but they were in a big playoff race. Lamar Jackson, everybody was kind of pissed at the Ravens because they didn't pay him. Remember, some people in the midst of that drama thought, was Lamar Jackson, not coming back because he didn't get his contract. So he's dealt with a lot of drama. He's dealt with a lot of that stuff and been able to just go out there and play. Like, his numbers aren't the greatest in the world. That's why kind of everybody mocks the Pro Bowl nomination for him. But I don't think this guy is going to be as deer in headlights as Skylar Thompson looked last week, which I was surprised by. I thought Skylar Thompson was, I thought he was going to look more prepared. I thought that he was going to look more ready. He did not look either of those things.
Yeah, but shouldn't the concern be that he hasn't played in a while? I mean, we talk about that Pro Bowl season.
Snoop Huntley?
Yeah, I mean, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
And last year he played in 5 games, started 1, and they lost. So, I'm not trying to poo-poo this decision. I think it's the right decision. I'm just not sure our expectations should be, hey, he's going to come out and make some electric plays and the offense is going to have a spark plug. I'm looking at this more as a situation of he plays smart football. He picks up some first downs and can move the chains with his feet and short, quick passes to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
I need them to play like the Dolphins again. And maybe they can't do that without Tua, but even last week, dude, I go back to Mike McDaniel, first drive, they have the ball and all of a sudden Mike McDaniel doesn't go for it on fourth downs anymore. I'm like, who is this guy? And I hope that he's found himself a little bit. I think that he almost went into Seattle almost too conservative. I get it. Guys have to execute and you don't have your starting quarterback. And this is going to go in there with a battered offensive line and all that. But, man, they got to get back to being the explosive team that teams fear. You got to find a way to utilize the weapons that you have. And I do hope that Snoop can bring some of that to the table.
Has the defense shown you enough, though, where you say, okay, you're going up against Will Levis. He's good for a pick every game.
For sure.
Right? We know that 100%. Like Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, figure it out. All right. Find that turnover at some point today, but your defense can carry you and you take that conservative approach on the offensive end. No turnovers. Hopefully you shore up all the penalties that are putting you in bad situations. You take the conservative approach here and you hope that the defense can give you enough chances. And then once you're in the red zone, that to me is where we're going to find out, okay, did McDaniel prepare with Snoop Huntley or not? Because I'm not too optimistic about them moving the chains consistently and getting the big play. I'm more optimistic of, hey, you get into the red zone, it's 3rd and 3, you're going to be able to pick up the first down just because of his ability to run and to get out of the pocket and make a play.
Yeah, first to your question about the defense, do I trust the defense? I think the defense has been fine. I think the Bills game is a horrible game to throw on their head at all because you turn the ball over like crazy.
Bills in plus territory every time they have the ball.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair game to grasp. I don't think that that's one of those. I thought last week, the defense played well. I know if you go back and you look at the numbers of things and you're like, DK Metcalf. Yes, DK Metcalf had a very explosive game. Charbonnet got the extra touchdown to add on to his day. But this was all while the defense basically had them at 17 points for the entire afternoon. How many times do you expect them to go by that? And that has been, honestly, Solana, I think that defensive performance for me was almost more of an indictment on Mike McDaniel, even though I know Mike McDaniel picked Anthony Weaver, and that's his guy. But I'm just saying, why is it now that the last 6 games, we'll go back into last year, the Dolphins have had guys from the street, banged up guys, losing Christian Wilkins, all these things that every wrench you could throw him, Jalen Waddle or Jalen Phillips on a pitch count, Jalen Ramsey, not quite right. Who knows? And then it's they still give you kind of an okay performance every week.
Yeah.
A good for having what's supposed to be this explosive offense. You're telling me a guru can't give you 20 points? That to me was almost as frustrating as the no points was the fact that the defense was they kind of are gamers and they came up with huge turnovers, and they put you in position, and you did nothing with it.
I also look at it from the other side, though. Tennessee is going into this game saying the exact same thing. You know that, right? Like, there's a show in Tennessee right now where they're saying, hey, our defense held the Bears and our defense held the Jets. We had those games because of our defense.
Sure.
And our offense literally blew the game on both scenarios. Now, the Green Bay game is a little different, but I think Green Bay is certainly better than both of those teams. But 2 of their 3 games, their defense did enough to win those games. Against Chicago, the defense and the special teams put them in a position to win. The offense did nothing except for give the game away. So they're coming into this game saying, hey, if our defense can get some turnovers and force a guy who really hasn't played football in 2 years and has been in Miami for 10 days to make some mistakes, then they can coast to a victory as well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a problem with anybody in Tennessee feeling like the Dolphins are their get right game. I really wouldn't. They have no reason not to think that. The only difference between the Dolphins and the Titans really is preseason expectations.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have a problem with Tobin and Solana in Tennessee, although they are probably sipping moonshine and, being, tipsy during their show. I don't have a problem with them feeling that way. It really has nothing to do with the Titans. My point is Mike McDaniel has, gotten to pick the groceries essentially with this team and as set it up how he wanted to be set up. And we haven't seen this offense produce at all.
Yeah, at all. And that's a major concern, man. It really is, because like I was saying earlier, if you felt like you had picked the right groceries, right? And if you felt like, okay, Tua's out, but I have the guys I want to still run the offense efficiently and run the offense up to his standard, up to his expectation, you would go into this game saying, all right, like, take care of the football, put 17 points up on the board, and you're going to have a chance to win this football game. But it's that, like, unknowing factor where, again, the Seattle game, it looked bad. It just looked abysmal.
I never feel like I'm going to see a touchdown again. It's terrible. It's a terrible feeling. Although Mike McDaniel does have this analysis on Snoop Huntley going into this game.
I call him Snoop. Okay, it's much easier and pretty legit to call somebody Snoop and then that be their name. So Snoop and Boyle, which is also cool. Not as cool. Snoop in terms of names, but unless you're it's close to O'Doyle rules from a movie reference.
We got this tonight, dude.
What is wrong with him, man?
Not the time.
Did you see today? He was photobombing. He jumped in like the NFL Live setup.
Did he?
Yeah. What's the Lions quarterback's name on ESPN? The former Lions quarterback. He had the worst play ever. Dan
Orlovsky.
Yeah. He's like photobombing Orlovsky's set.
He does feel looser. Like he was a beaten man early in the week.
But it's not the time, man. Like I like QT McDaniel. I like the antics. But just like Jimmy Butler today, it wasn't the time. You show up 30 or 2 hours late to media day. It's not the time to come with the antics and the funny haircut and to make the jokes. It's like, hey, I'm here for business. I have to separate when it's time for antics and when it's time to be serious. And when you looked as bad as you did last week and you're in a situation where it feels like an impossible climb, hey, maybe just stick to the standard protocol here. Like, we're going to do everything we possibly can to put these guys in a position to win. It's not that hard, bro.
It's not for him, though. It is for him. Like, cliches take a long time for him. We'll take a break. What is at stake tonight? If the Dolphins are able to win, can they save their season a little bit? Plus a look at the AFC East and where things stand after this weekend. We'll take a break. More Game Day Uncensored after this.
Monday Night Football and the Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day, Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Taking you up until the 7:30 kick tonight from Hard Rock Stadium. Monday Night Football, Dolphins and Titans. Dan Day will have your post-game coverage. He's also producing for us today. What time do you get going tonight, Dan Day? When do they allow you? Is that a 10:30?
No, it's going to be 11 to 2 tonight.
11? Jesus, dude.
Wow.
What a trooper.
Late night, great night, man. It's going to be awesome. Uncensored. Let's talk about Uncensored late night.
Uncensored. I'm sure. And you know what? If the Dolphins lose, he's going to have phone calls all throughout the night of people just – I don't know what people are going to be feeling.
The phone lines, I've been listening to Dan most post games. The phone lines get lit up, right? I mean, people after that Bills game. I mean, that is that the streams are always up on our YouTube page. Like, that's one going back and listening to, because that was good. That was very, very good.
Yeah, it is. Those are, I think, some of the best use of sports radio phones is people getting to get all of the poison out after a night. Hopefully tonight, if they can get this win, it will feel, I don't know if anything's going to feel right, but I just want them to stay afloat. Solana. Right. That's how it is right now. Like it's you come out of this 2-2. The Jets just lost last week embarrassingly to the Broncos. Bills. Look, I'm not talking anything about the Bills right now. The Dolphins are very clearly miles away from them, but they did get smoked. All right. They're not lapping the field yet. And the Patriots look like they've come back to earth. So yeah, it does kind of feel like the Dolphins, if they can just hold it together, get a win tonight. I don't know what the hell it means long-term, but it just feels like the climb won't feel as large if they can just find a way tonight to get this win.
The funny part about the Seahawks loss was, for us, it was doom, right? Technically, the season had ended last week. The Dolphins were somehow in a playoff spot, or like just outside a playoff spot, I guess, depending on what model you looked at. But so in the grand scheme of things, they're not cooked yet. But you lose this game and you feel like they're cooked.
Yes.
You feel like, okay, they can't beat the 0-3 Titans at home on Monday Night Football with another quarterback that they've picked to come in and save the day. I mean, how are they going to win any of these games? And then if Tua comes back, I think we're all expecting him to come back. When he comes back, what are they going to look like? We don't know. Who's going to be on the offensive line? We don't know. And that's not a situation you want to be in, considering how difficult the schedule looks come week 11, right, week 12, week 13, and so on.
Yeah, the back end get right doesn't feel like it's there. And that's why I think even with Tua, we all thought, oh, the Dolphins are going to be in a position where they're going to be able to fluff their record up a little bit. Well, now you're just in this position where you need to just keep treading water right now until he gets back. It is interesting seeing the line, because I think at one point the Titans might have been a 1-point favorite, and then, as the week went on, it was mostly around Dolphins were a point favorite. It's now down to Dolphins minus 2.5.
Yeah. After Snoop Huntley was announced as starter, it moved a full point. That to me is interesting, Tobin, from the standpoint of, like, you and I are sitting here saying, we don't know. We don't know how this is going to look. How could they possibly win a game with a guy who's been here 10 days? But clearly Vegas feels like he gives them a better chance than Skylar Thompson or Tim Boyle.
Yeah, this would have been a really fascinating question after that performance. If Skylar Thompson was just physically able to play, I wonder what the Dolphins would have done in that situation. It doesn't really matter, I understand, but I would have liked to know what Mike McDaniel, how does Mike McDaniel truly feel about Skylar Thompson after that performance?
And it bodes the question, like, okay, their decision was Skylar. He beat out Mike White. That's their guy. Would they stick to it? You know,
Mhm.
a lot of times people just as a comparison, they talk about Tyler Hero. Should he start? Should he not start? And I think like the general consensus is, well, they're paying him too much for him to come off the bench.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, with the Dolphins, they made their decision that Skyler was their backup. He was the best person that they saw fit for these situations. Would they have gone away from him after just one game, as bad as it was? I don't know. Luckily, we're not in that situation tonight. But you're right. It would have been very interesting to see how McDaniel handled it.
Interestingly enough, by the way, speaking of backup quarterbacks, I believe the Dolphins' next opponent is the Patriots. And I think Gerard Mayo is still sticking with Brissett. So we have that to look forward to. The Jacoby Brissett revenge game coming up next week, either way, with the Dolphins in New England.
In New England. Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, they're already the line is Dolphins -1. A road favorite for the Dolphins.
It's crazy. There's still faith in this team figuring it out, right? And it goes.
I think so. I mean,
but it goes back to last year where you're putting up 70 burgers. Like at some point, I think the expectation is, okay, they're gonna find ways to score. They're gonna find ways to put up points.
It's just I would have liked to known with this coach, because his entire tenure has run so hot and cold, you know? Like there's just never been a time where the Dolphins have just kind of like lazy rivered it and up and down, up and down. It's either they are riding a rocket ship or they are on the downward trend of a roller coaster. Like there's no in between with them.
It's such a great point by you. When they lose, they get demolished.
Yep.
Like it looks bad. Outside of a couple games, I think Eagles last year on, what was that, Sunday Night Football?
Yep.
Where they kind of hung around. There was 11 penalties on the Dolphins, 0 on the Eagles. Like, okay.
Maybe got screwed a little bit.
Right. And then Kansas City last year where Tyreek fumbles, and then Tua just throws a bad pass at the end of the game. But like they hung around those games. Outside of that, every loss against the Bills, especially, they get massacred. Against the Ravens last year, they get massacred. Like there's never this instance where, hey, they play a good team tough and okay, the home team won, or the Dolphins just kind of lost it at the end. It's usually a disaster for some reason.
I think the thing, and again, maybe my head's in the wrong place. I can already hear like Leroy yelling at me. I think my head is in a better place after watching the Jets throw up all over themselves. I'm like, all right, they're still the Jets.
Yeah.
And clearly the Dolphins just have one team to go chase down if they can get through this, which I don't know that they can. They have a lot of things they have to get right. But I was worried after watching the Patriots, after watching the Jets do what they did to the Patriots and watching the Jets kind of look like, oh no, maybe this is going to work for them. I was worried. I'm like, oh man, the Dolphins have too many things to overcome in this division. Now it's like, nah, you still got the boogeyman to go chase down. Hopefully Tua comes back and maybe it's a better showing. Like, hard to be worse.
But I think also when you look at the AFC as a whole, because think about it, what were the teams that I think we were all concerned about fighting for playoff battles, right? Okay, you know Kansas City was going to be there. There was no doubt about it.
Yep.
You knew the Bills were going to somehow inject some life into themselves.
Yep.
They'd be at least in the wild card conversation. There's no doubt about it. We were all kind of like, okay, well, the Jets are going to be better this year. Aaron Rodgers plays well. Like you just said, it's the Jets. They're pooping themselves. It's what we expect. The Chargers don't look impressive. The Broncos, nobody's picking them or the Raiders to get into the playoffs. The Steelers, yeah, they're winning games, even though they lost this week, but they're doing it scoring 9 points a game. How long can they sustain that? And then the Ravens started 0-2. The Bengals lost 3 straight. How many teams make the playoffs after their 0-3 start? One team in this century. Like there's a path for the Dolphins to find a way to still salvage this. The bigger question then becomes, okay, they salvage it, but what?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of these things, like this wasn't a season about salvaging. It was a season with really high expectations after, you know, that's kind of what last year was. It wasn't even like a salvage. Like you backdoored your way in because you got off to this tremendous start. But yeah, like the Ravens, I mean, obviously what they did to the Buffalo yesterday, I can't believe it, Derrick Henry. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's so scary.
Yeah.
And then Houston's going to have a good record. That division sucks. I mean, regardless of what happens tonight with Tennessee, like Jacksonville's a mess. I don't envision Tennessee having a very good record this year. And Indianapolis is literally rolling out Joe Flacco for week whatever. So Yeah, it's possible, but it all starts tonight. You lose tonight, I don't know how. If you lose this game, what game can I have faith in you winning without Tua?
Even on the road at New England.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no way, Tobin. If they lose a game tonight, but Tyler Huntley plays well and the defense just has a stinker, then maybe you and I can come on next Sunday and all right, the defense has to fix up some things. Dare Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball, load up the box. We can find ways where we can say another week with Snoop Huntley, right? But the likelihood tonight is that the offense is not going to look good. And if you can't overcome that, then what?
Yeah, I feel like it's again, it goes back to last week, like you and I were talking, I just want the coach to show me he can get this damn team in the end zone.
Yeah.
And so, that's what I'm hopeful for. I've really, really lowered the bar because I was like, you know what? I think the Dolphins will show some guts. I believe in Skylar Thompson. I look a fool. And now I just am hoping that this guy, it's prime time. He's typically good at home. This team sucks that you're taking on, but maybe you suck worse. I don't know. But you are still at home. Typically, if two teams are bad at home, on prime time at home, you're usually supposed to win that game.
There's precedent.
Any normal
here.
team would win this game.
Yeah.
Any normal team would win this game.
Yeah, they would find a way to win the game. That's why we're not asking for much. We're not asking you on Monday Night Football to beat the damn Kansas City Chiefs with Snoop Huntley. That's why, to me, this isn't an uphill climb. This should be, hey, we're bleep out of luck with our quarterback, but guess what? We're going to find another way to win the game. We're going to find another way to do what every other coach in the NFL does and has done in their career, which is win with a backup quarterback. And I don't think that's asking for too much, as we've said a bunch of times. And Tobin, they don't win this game. You want to talk about the types of calls Dan Day is going to get?
Dan Day.
Yeah, there's no path. There's no path. And I don't like doing week 3 doom and gloom. I really don't. I told you, I'm not calling for McDaniel to be fired.
Right.
But they have to look competent today. They have to, because if not, there's going to be bigger questions that have to be asked about everything within this organization.
Because look, I think you and I both go at this thing. We want to be optimistic, maybe me a little bit more so than you, but for everybody who had concerns about what the concerns were going to be of this team, offensive line, age, the quarterback durability, guys getting their extension. I mean, it has been Murphy's Law around these parts. Everything has gone wrong. And then just to think, hey, can you do the football thing where maybe you just nope. We're going to go on the road and we're going to have the most catastrophic loss. And then with 10 days of rest, we're going to give you 3 points. And so I used to, go to these things. I think Chris Perkins wrote it well in the Sun Sentinel, where he's like, maybe they weren't good, but they were entertaining. And I was looking forward to the show, the greatest show on surf. And the tide's been low here a little bit too long for me, Solana.
Tobin, it could always be worse. Excuse me. Tom Pelissero tweets out, the Giants are working out veteran quarterback C.J. Beathard.
Oof. Did Danny Dimes get hurt?
I didn't think so. But I don't know. I've been disconnected for 3 days, so I don't know.
I'll give you that pass.
Yeah.
I'll give you that pass. I just don't follow C.J. Beathard news. That's just me. We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. We will get into the other side of things. The Titans, they're dealing with some pretty rough injuries. They got a pretty rough quarterback, and more from your Dolphins is, what is Mike McDaniel going to do with Tyler Huntley, who is new to this playbook? More to come here on Game Day Uncensored, back after this.
We have an important announcement regarding our
Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
You could say this past week in Dolphins land was tumultuous. A lot of questions following the Week 3 mess against the Seahawks. Among other things, just who is the quarterback of this team in Tua's absence? And what exactly do Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer need to do to right the ship? Coach McDaniel knows there is some fixing to be done.
There was definitely some results that were not what we were expecting, but you have to, it doesn't matter how you feel. Your job is to take whatever it is, however unexpected, and figure it out.
Jalen Waddle says, time to step up.
We know we're better than what we putting out there, but I think it's good for us. I look at the last 2 seasons or since Mike been here, and then going to first 3 weeks, we had a whole bunch of hype and all this crazy stuff with all this media attention, and we get to see what our team made of early.
There's a national audience for you tonight, Jalen, all looking to see what the Finns got. We're getting ready for Monday Night Football in Miami Gardens on Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. The Dolphins and Titans, Tobin and Solana, along with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana here with you as we get you ready for the 7:30 kick from Hard Rock Stadium. Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network. He will join us later on this hour. We will dive into all things this game from Adam Beasley. Omar Kelly will join us near kickoff around 7 o'clock today. So we'll hear from our guy Omar. We'll hear from Bees. But let us get to our keys to the game here, brought to you by Doral Hyundai. At Doral Hyundai, choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai models in inventory like the Tucson, Sonata, and Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. The Titans, Solana, they are 0-3. Losses to the Bears. Game they probably shouldn't have lost. It was a weird game. The Jets, they lost 24-17, and then they lost the revenge game to Malik Willis. They lost to the Green Bay Packers as and their backup quarterback, and their coach Brian Callahan looks very sick of Will Levis. Does not seem to be a fan of him. Four touchdowns, 5 interceptions, some ugly pick sixes, and look, the receivers pretty good for fantasy in like 2019. Yeah. I mean, like you're. Pretty good squad. I don't know if, that none of them have really gotten off the ground like crazy this year, but not bums. Not, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, names you know.
Well, like DeAndre Hopkins, you're right. 2019, you'd feel great about that receiver room, but they're not the worst in the league in that position group.
No, they got some things. Tony Pollard, again, if this was, a couple of years ago, you'd be like, Tony Pollard, like having him.
All right.
Hasn't really gotten off the ground so far this year. Has not been has not had a stellar season thus far. We have old enemy L'Jarius Sneed, questionable with a hamstring injury. I would like Tyreek Hill to embarrass him tonight, Solana, because L'Jarius Sneed embarrassed Tyreek Hill in the playoff game.
Well, don't hold your breath on that because we don't know who or how Tyler Huntley is going to get him the ball.
Fair. That's fair. And also maybe Snead doesn't even play. Who knows? We'll have to find out.
Can he embarrass him without getting the football? Like, is there something he can do out there? Like just burn him on routes when he's not getting the football?
No, that's not how that works.
Okay,
he needs, dude, we all saw
breath,
we all saw him get jammed to hell in that playoff game. Tyreek Hill had some embarrassing performances against his former team. His former team that's won 2 Super Bowls since he's come to the Miami Dolphins. Great season with the Miami Dolphins. I'm thankful to have Tyreek Hill on the Miami Dolphins. He's the best. But that being said, his team has won 2 Super Bowls since he's been on the Miami Dolphins. And we saw him yak up the football to the Chiefs. A really, really bad turnover. And him just get completely demoralized in that performance in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did score the only touchdown. Like the only score. I mean, Tua threw up a little duck. Tyreek went and caught it, outran the defender.
Yep.
But you're right. It didn't look good when he got jammed up at the line and could do nothing about it.
Jeffrey Simmons, their big defensive tackle, he's also doubtful with an elbow injury. So they have a couple of big question marks on the defense that they have to adhere for. But Jalen Waddle knows that their team and their backs are against the wall. Here's a little bit of Jalen Waddle on the team, and it's going to show what they're made of.
Frustrating because we know we're better than what we putting out there. But I think it's good for us. You know, I look at the last 2 seasons or since Mike been here, and then going to the first 3 weeks, we had a whole bunch of hype and all this crazy stuff with all this media attention, and we get to see what our team made of early. You know, it's only the 3rd week, and our back is up against the wall, so we're gonna see what we made of pretty early. See what the team got.
Jalen Waddle yet to get in the end zone in the first 3 games so far this season.
Yeah, one really good reception, right, against Jacksonville week 1, and then kind of been crickets after that.
Yeah, and again, I get it. They don't have a mechanism to deliver them the football. Last week, I think guys were open. I think Skylar Thompson was gun shy, and that's I think the big hope is like, look, if these guys are open and they're out there, and Tyreek was talking about this week too, we're still fast. It's not like we lost a step. I agree. I think they're both still fast, but you can't have somebody scared to let it rip a little bit, you know, because you just have to deliver these guys the football. I know there's been a lot of talk about them being figured out and shut down. You can't figure that out. You can't figure out all that speed all the time. There can be breakdowns. Look at last week with DK Metcalf. There can be breakdowns, and these guys provide that opportunity.
Absolutely, but I also think if you can provide another dynamic to the offense outside of, hey, let's get the ball to our 2 really fast guys, then that opens up more opportunities for those 2 fast guys. Because Tobin, you know, one thing that people were criticizing the Dolphins for being was like a one-trick pony, like Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle over the top. And if it wasn't that, how were the Dolphins going to move the ball? And that's something I think all of us were looking forward to this year. How are they going to use Achane? How are they going to use Jonnu Smith? How's Odell Beckham Jr. going to look? Like those were supposed to be the guys who were providing other options and other threats that opposing defenses had to be concerned about. That was only going to open up things for Tyreek and especially Jalen Waddle, who gets overlooked a little bit because of how good Tyreek Hill is. But if you don't have that other threat, goes back to the running thing, well, hey, guess what? Tyreek, Waddle, we're keeping you in front of us. Good luck.
Tough.
Good luck.
Good luck, boys. It's funny you mentioned Odell, by the way. There was a national report this week that says he is going to probably have his practice window open up this week. Still no timetable for his return, but, you know, it is neat. I didn't really, I will say, I was a greedy pig so long. I didn't even think this was needed, having Odell. Like, but because of how bad they've been throwing to anybody who's not Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and with those guys not even really lighting it up yet, it's crazy to think that they really feel like they need the Tyreek Hill cavalry, the Odell Beckham cavalry to come and get them.
Yeah, but if your option is Odell Beckham Jr. coming off IR at his age, by the way, or D. Eskridge and Malik Washington, who hasn't even played a snap yet, we don't know about him.
D. Eskridge doesn't even sound like a name. It sounds like a legal term.
I think everybody's picking Odell, right? Without a doubt.
I think so.
I hope so. If not, get your head examined. So, I mean, River Craycraft, we don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. Mike McDaniel, this was a little bit more from him on Tyler Huntley. Says, goes back to a time when he had RG3 in Washington. There's some of that stuff in the playbook for him.
I kind of asked you about this last week, but to put a finer point on it, if Tyler is your decision this week to be your starting quarterback, do you need to teach this team 20, 25 new plays this week? Is there like big changes that need to happen?
No, if that would be the direction, which is a possibility for sure. The good news is within the framework of the offense, there's typically some of those principles that are put in intentionally, for the preseason, and that's something that was built within the offense from 2012, actually owed to Robert Griffin III on that one. And so that's the kind of the art of the illusion of complexity. Can you add some stuff? If you do, how is there any? The only way that you can is there has to be some overlap into what you already do.
The art to the illusion of complexity.
Exactly, dude. That's exactly what I think. I think it's what it says there. Put it on a t-shirt. It's right up there with authenticity is the truest form of I don't know. Who cares? I don't know what this guy's saying anymore. Just making stuff up. I think I just I don't know.
But what do you think the answer to that question actually is? Because I thought it was a great question to Bees. Okay, you're bringing in Snoop Huntley. He's going to start. You can't run your offense with him, can you? I mean, can he run? Can he run the offense that Tua was running and that we thought Skyler was going to run? Clearly, he couldn't. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, based on our discussions for the past 2 hours, my answer would be no.
Yeah, that's the thing that's kind of frustrating about this offense, right? Like it's one of these things where it feels like everybody's got to be in the club because you got to speak McDaniel. And it's great, like when everybody knows what they're doing. And I think that's why, people appreciate how well Tua can run it now. And especially that there is an art to it. It's not this easy thing, but also, with his concerns and his ability to stay healthy being in question, how better do the Dolphins have to prepare themselves for this situation? Because Tyler Huntley said this week, we'll meet, he used the term, I think, dumb down, which plays he likes, which he doesn't, what he's comfortable with. And I think you just hope that they, can make some things happen. But I don't know how confident we can all be in it, Salon. I don't have good answers for that.
Yeah, I think, McDaniel didn't want to commit to it, but I think they do have to kind of not throw out the playbook, but say, okay, these amount of plays, we just can't run. We don't have enough time to prepare for them. But, hey, these are some plays that I think we can incorporate that are simple enough where we can run, and we can get Achane into space. And, we can find Tyreek Hill maybe running a 3-yard in and get him the ball so he can go get you a first down. Like that to me is the way you approach this with Snoop Huntley.
It also sounds simple, but it feels like this team needs an early lead and just the worst. They haven't led a game.
Literally, they haven't led a game. They have not had the lead in a football game. Their game-winning field goal came as the clock struck 0.
Yeah, that's a win. That's not a lead. That's this is crazy. This is a crazy thing. So it would just go like if you could just catch them napping early and just be like, hey, Tyreek Hill to the house, Jalen Waddle to the house, or even just leading. If somehow he could lead a scripted touchdown drive, I just feel like it'd go the relief I think that would go off that team's shoulders would be huge, and they can just kind of roll and play football. Because I tell you, if the Titans march down, I just feel like the cheeks are a little tighter going into this game.
Yeah, because they're supposed to come in and win this game, as we were talking about earlier. Like this is a game they have scheduled where they're saying, all right, Dolphins backup quarterback, guy's been there 10 days. Like, all right, here's our chance. Here we go. We can maybe save our season as well. But Tobin, I'll take it a step further. When's the last time this team had a defensive touchdown? Was it Javon Holland on Black Friday last year? When's the last time this team had a special teams
play? I don't
play?
remember. That sounds right.
Yeah, when's the last time this team had a special teams play where you said, wow.
Oh, the special team. Like, dude, that special teams coach, Danny Crossman, hey, man, this guy I heard him a little bit this week, too. Let me tell you how sick I am of him, because he's sitting here and he goes, we all got to go out. I don't know. It's a terrible Danny Crossman, but he's trying to make this thing. Oh, we're all used to doing it one way. And, we all got used to the kickoff one way. Hey, so did everybody else, dum-dum. That's your job. Get them in line. Stop having people jump off. Oh, they don't know how to do it. Why does everybody else know how to do it? Danny?
You could have done a fake Danny Crossman as Sergei Bobrovsky, as your limited fake Sergei Bobrovsky. Tobin, let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows what the special teams coach sounds like.
I don't
brother.
know who I saw with. I don't know if I saw it on Omar's Twitter, but I saw this guy talking about the kickoff penalties, and I'm like, shut up, dude. Oh, they don't know what the new kickoff is. It's literally all anybody's been talking about. If you're a special teams coach and a new kickoff comes out, this is literally why you should have your job. Hey, guys, we have a new system of kickoff here. I guarantee you Braxton Berrios could have just figured it out faster than you have, Danny. The idea that the first thing you bring to the table is, oh, we're all used to it going one way. Shut up, dude. That is your job. It would be like Mike McDaniel coming out here and being like, I didn't know we could pass the ball forward, which is kind of what it's looked like lately, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But give me a damn special teams play. Hey, Braxton, you got a great fair catch working, all right? I love it. Very secure, okay? But, hey, maybe go set the offense up a little bit. Kickoff team, give me something, bro. Give me – this is a time you need stuff like that to go in your favor. Give me defense. Even though I'm not blaming the defense. They set up the offense pretty well in Seattle. So I'm not blaming the defense, but – I mean, you need it in this game. I think you need some sort of spark because you're saying, hey, the offense needs a lead. Hey, Tobin, it's been 3 games. They haven't got you one yet, and now you got Snoop Huntley.
All fair. Take a break. More to come on this Gameday Uncensored. Back after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Edmore Sawgrass.
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored. Quick segment here. We are going to get to Adam Beasley as he's going to join us from Hard Rock Stadium. Solano, you got a couple of injuries, of course, tonight. No Kendall Fuller and no Teron Armstead in the starting line. Which injury are you more concerned about having to be replaced by in this upcoming matchup?
Yeah, I think the obvious one is Teron Armstead because you have a new quarterback. I think that's the obvious one. Defensively, we've talked about it. They seem like they've been able to stay afloat, but losing Kendall Fuller is still kind of big.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Titans' weapons. I mean, sure, they were a lot better 5 years ago, but they're still decent. So to me, it's Teron
Experience
Armstead
too. Like
Correct.
if you had a young guy out there, like if Ethan Bonner has to get some significant snaps, or Storm Duck. I know Storm Duck is a little bit banged up, so I don't know what his status is or whatnot. We'll get those inactives next hour sometime. But yeah, I think those are the ones where you're kind of worried about, hey, are you going to get vetted out here? So I'm definitely concerned about that.
Can I say Raheem Mostert?
What do you mean? Just with him being out?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, run game has not been that impressive.
No, it hasn't.
And I'm concerned because obviously he's old.
Yeah, but Teron is one. To me, Mostert is two, because as great as HN is, nobody's taking anything away from him. Can the Dolphins move the ball on the ground without Raheem Mostert again? That sucks.
Yeah, it hasn't been good. We'll dive into all of it with Adam Beasley. He's going to join us from Hard Rock Stadium, so we will figure out what he thinks is going to go. How will this whole experiment go with Tyler Huntley? So we'll take a break here and reset things and get to a lot of Dolphins questions with one of our insiders, Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network. He joins us coming up next.
Football coverage on WQ.
Gameday Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's time to talk to Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network here on Game Day Uncensored. We always love having Bees come around, give us his wisdom, because we're a couple of carnival barkers. This man is boots on the ground. Let's hear what Bees has to say. What's going on, Bees? How are you?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
How are you, buddy? Everything good?
Oh, I'm great. I look very, for those of you watching online, I look very floral tonight. Feel like a true Floridian. Yeah, you like? With the palm trees in the background, I'm basically Miami Vice right here.
How much can we expect from Snoop Huntley tonight, man? Like, what's fair? What's fair to feel right now? We're really down. I know this guy is a Pro Bowler, but this Dolphins offense has looked pretty decrepit so far this year. What's fair to expect from this guy tonight?
It's a vivid image you just painted in my brain. Well, look, I mean, it's not often that you have a homecoming game as your first start with a new team. We are 8 miles maybe from Hollandale Beach High School here at Hard Rock Stadium. He's going to have a lot of supporters, certainly. It's going to be, I think, a level of comfort. This is something he's wanted to do for basically his entire life. He said that he was actually kind of upset the Dolphins didn't draft him in 2020. I think they had a quarterback they already had in mind that year. Tua Tagovailoa went 5th overall, so they weren't looking for a second quarterback. But you could tell how much this is going to mean to him to have the chance to play in front of South Florida, and it's a chance for him to kind of jumpstart his career. He wasn't even on an active roster 2 weeks ago. Now he's going to start a game on national television. It's an important night for him, and it's an important night for the Dolphins.
Bees, we had played a question you asked McDaniel earlier in the week, and I thought it was such a great question, which was, is he going to have to implement 20 new plays into this playbook for Tyler Huntley? Clearly, going with their old playbook that was for Tua Tagovailoa with Skylar Thompson didn't work. I know McDaniel said what he said, and he kind of danced around it. He said that wouldn't be necessary per se, but how do you think they approach this tonight? I asked you last week. Can they run the ball to win games? I didn't think they could, and clearly they didn't think they could. Do you expect a totally different type of offensive approach today because Snoop Huntley's in the game? Do you expect a conservative approach offensively and just hope that the defense can make enough plays to keep them in the game? Do you expect to see a whole new playbook tonight?
Well, if they throw the ball 40 times, something went really, really wrong. Either they fell down early or they just had a bad game plan to begin with. That will not be a winning formula for the Dolphins tonight. Yes, they need to get the ball to Tyreek. They need to get the ball to Waddle. Maybe get Jonnu Smith involved in the way that he really hasn't been through the first 3 weeks. But I'm with you. They've got to be able to run the football. They have to assert themselves on the ground. The big topic of conversation this week was not just quantity, but quality of runs, where they are running outside zone versus inside, where they've had some success on the inside, but McDaniel is such an outside zone guy. I don't think they're going to have to rewrite the playbook, but they're going to have to turn to pages they haven't used very much. Zone read has been in their offense. They're not going to use it with Tua. They absolutely have to run that tonight with Snoop. They need to make this the Snoop and H-Han show. Get the two of them in sync, running the football. Guys, the Titans defense isn't that bad. I know they're not great in points, but that's because they're -7 on turnovers. So I don't think they're going to be able to. I know Awuzie is not going to play for them, so that'll help some on the outside. But if you think you're going to be able to just chuck the ball all over the place against this defense, I think you're mistaken. I think they need to have real balance, and maybe even not even balance. Maybe 2-to-1 run to pass. If that's what they're doing, if they can force Will Levis to turn the ball over, which is obviously the key anytime you play the Titans, they should win this game. And look, guys, they're a better team than the Tennessee Titans, even without their quarterback. Right? Even without their quarterback, they have more than enough talent to beat one of the 3 or 4 worst rosters in football. And if they don't, if they're unable to do that, the last 2 weeks is going to look like a picnic because the heat's going to go way up on this team. They have a chance to save their season this week and then in 6 days in Foxborough. They go even 1-1 of those 2 games, and I think it's a big failure.
What injury concerns you the most tonight? Teron Armstead not being out there or Kendall Fuller?
Definitely Armstead. We didn't see great things out of Kendall Lamb last week when he went in and played for Armstead. And I know Omar is going to be on with you in a bit. Thinks we might see Patrick Paul tonight. I don't know if he'll start, but I definitely think they have him in mind for some sort of role. The splits with and without Armstead throughout the course of the Mike McDaniel era, they're no joke. I mean, the offense gets much worse when Armstead's not on the field. They need to figure out a way to, protect obviously Snoop, but also get that push on the left side and be able to run the football both inside and out against that defense.
Has Chris Greer just come with a gift basket or an apology to any of you guys for you guys just having some concerns about the offensive line? Because they're just laughing about it, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, well, what are we laughing about? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't think it's very funny right now. I mean, look, they deserved a bit of the benefit of the doubt last year because the offensive line had so many. I think they had 12 different lineups throughout the course of the year, and they were still able to get it done. Coaching obviously had been improved, but that magic pixie dust seems to have worn off, right? Making it work with smoke and mirrors, which certainly they did last year, isn't working anymore. And yes, we were right to be concerned about their interior offensive line throughout the entire offseason. We were right to pull our hair out when they didn't trade or acquire interior offensive linemen at the cut down deadline in late August. And I didn't think it would be this bad this soon. But when you have, I would say it's charitably C+, B- interior offensive linemen, aside from Brewer. We'll see how he does. He's been pretty good, but your guard play C+, B-, and then you have tackles that get hurt. I mean, last week there was a snap that was like, what was it? Patrick Paul and Kendall Lamb were your tackles. I know it was brief because Austin Jackson came back in, I think, after just 1 or 2 snaps missed. But that's a real reality if somebody gets hurt tonight, that you're down to your 4th option at tackle and your 4th option at guard, because this was never the plan. I think they really thought they'd have Isaiah Wynn back for the start of the season. I think there's a real chance you see him relatively soon. But for the first 4 weeks, I don't think Robert Jones was the plan. I mean, it's weird that it's week 4 and we're already talking about, hey, just get to the bye, but they really need to get to the bye and get a bunch of these banged up players back.
Speaking of banged up players and the plan, Bees, when you were on with Hawk and Crowder earlier last week, you were pretty adamant it's going to be Snoop Huntley that starts this game tonight. And obviously that's the decision. I think most people would agree that's the right decision considering the circumstances. But Tobin and I were discussing earlier, had Skylar Thompson been healthy, do you think it would be Skylar Thompson today? Or did we see enough to just say that clearly they made the wrong decision? There's no doubt about it. But that can't be the option moving forward to back up Tua.
I can't say with great conviction either way. I do know that they liked Skylar Thompson for a reason. Their evaluation of him and ours is obviously much different, but they felt confident going into the regular season with him as their backup. I think they're going to really need to reassess their evaluation of that position going forward if that's what they were comfortable with. But it would not have surprised me if they would have been like, well, we feel like Skylar's command of the offense at this point is better than Snoop's, and he gives us the best chance to win. I think that would have been a mistake, and I think they would have had – look, it's already going to be a light crowd here tonight, guys. I had never had such ease getting into a parking lot for a primetime game as I had tonight.
Wow.
Barely even stopped on the way in. But yeah, it's the non-diehards, they're dying easy, I think, in this fan base right now. They're looking for a reason to do something else with their Monday night. I'll be very fascinated to see the television ratings. I'm sure this is not what ESPN thought they were signing up for this game. But if Mike McDaniel if Skylar was healthy, and he has been, by the way, the worst quarterback since the start of the 2022 season in total quarterback EPA, 60 qualifying quarterbacks, I think, had 200 or more snaps. This is a stat that I saw on Twitter. He is 60th out of 60. If that wasn't enough, the analytics and the eye test weren't enough for them to come off of that mistake, it would have been really bleak tonight. And look, guys, the Dolphins, not only have they not led this season, but I think they lead the league in booing percentage. They've been booed in both of their home games this year. It would be 3 for 3, absolutely. If they announced Skylar Thompson, him came out of that tunnel, it would have been. And if they would have gotten down early, it would have been awfully bleak here at Hard Rock Stadium.
I'm not gonna lie, Bees. When I was at Hootie and the Blowfish this weekend with my wife and Darius Rucker, as we know, maybe the most famous Dolphins fan out there. He goes, trying to go the cheap pop. You got any Dolphins fans out here? It was just me. Yeah. And then he just goes, and just even almost defeated, he just goes, better beat the Titans. Almost like he was not very enthusiastic. I don't know. Even the most optimistic Dolphin fan right now, I think, is shook by how this year has been going.
Yeah, not just the year, but the offense in particular.
Yeah,
like this is why Mike McDaniel's here. Like, he is here to have an offense you want to watch on primetime, right? To have a packed Hard Rock Stadium like they do. From the operations standpoint at this place is fantastic. Like, it's going to be a light show. It's going to be entertaining. They're going to do absolutely everything they can to put lipstick on this pig tonight. But at the end of the day, it's still swine, right? It's still two of the worst teams in professional football through 3 weeks. I think the Dolphins are better than what they've shown. I don't think the Titans are. I think that is what they are. And if the Dolphins can't exploit that tonight, it's like, I don't know how they come back from 1-3. I really don't.
Bees, I don't want to do doomsday conversation here. I don't. I think there is a path to victory tonight. I don't expect it, but I think there is. With that being said, you said if the Dolphins go 1-1 even in these next 2 games, including tonight and at New England next week, you think that's a failure. What if they go
100%.
right? What if they go 0-2 and the offense continues to look miserable, especially tonight with Tyler Huntley, and who knows what happens next week? If that's the case, again, I'm not saying it will be, but if that's the case, are we going to be having real conversations about, top to bottom, the organizational structure in Miami?
Well, I a couple of things. If it's 1-5, because that's what, like, really what you're looking for is when Tua comes back, and right. You've got 3 more games. If they lose all 3 of those games, which they're not going to do, they're going to win at least one of those 3. But you're 1-5. Why do you even bring the quarterback back at that point? Like, why do you put him at risk? I would just shut him down, be sellers the trade deadline, go into the offseason with a pretty premium draft pick, and draft someone that doesn't compete with Tua, but that complements Tua Tagovailoa, that is a real, like, you're not terrified what's going to happen if he will get hurt, and history suggests he will. Do I think Mike McDaniel would be at the hot seat at 1-5? Depends on the 1-5, I guess. But like, Steve Ross does not want to get on this hamster wheel again. Like, there's a reason they gave this dude an extension before the season began. Like, the last thing he wants to do is go into mid-December to early January thinking about, hey, what's the next reset of this? Like, yeah, big changes will come. I do think their avoidance of going and really, really adding offensive line help and, drafting the defensive lineman high and all that. I know they got Chop, but he's more of an L linebacker than a defensive lineman. If those are the reasons this offense and this defense don't function like they should, like Steve Ross expects, someone's got to have to answer for that. And it might not be Mike McDaniel, but he's not the only one in that building that makes those choices. So it's way too early to be calling for people's jobs. But you're asking me what predicate would it take for people to really start feeling uncomfortable? Yeah, losing to the Tennessee Titans on national television, and then going up and losing to Foxborough to that god-awful Patriots team, I think that would crystallize a lot of people's minds.
I don't know what I expect from the tight ends because not even Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle have gotten off, but this was kind of one of the stories of the preseason of like, oh, new wrinkles, tight end's going to be involved. Jonnu Smith's going to be, more involved. And Julian Hill just goes out there and rear naked chokes everybody. And is just like, he plays like a rhinoceros. It's really the truth, Bees. What's up with the tight ends, dude? Like, can we get this thing together where they're not ruining every drive?
Well, I mean, I think the tight end position is a perfect snapshot of the roster decisions that they made over the last 6 months. They knew they weren't going to be buyers at every position because they couldn't be, because they had a whole mess of cap pain. But they thought they could get by with Durham Smythe, who had, never was spectacular, but always solid, it seemed like. He has regressed like crazy. That guy, I don't know what's happened to him, but he has fallen off a cliff in 2024. They thought Jonnu would be, I think he's making $3-4 million, but a guy that can give them 30, 40 key snaps a game. He might be getting them in volume, but he's not getting them in the impact that you'd hope. And yeah, I mean, Julian Hill, just don't commit a penalty and it's a win, right? I mean, I think he had 3 or 4 penalties last week, and people wonder why they're not able to run the ball to the outside. And I think, yes, a big factor is teams are selling out to stop that outside run, is to set the edge with as many humans as it takes. But they're not getting blocking out there. Like, it's crazy. And you're going to say I'm nuts, but I think one of the most underrated injuries they've had is River Craycraft. Because, A, you're putting guys out there, well, no longer because he's not in the team anymore, but you were putting guys out there like Robbie Chosen, and, throwing the ball to DuBose when he shouldn't be on the field. Those guys wouldn't be playing if River Craycraft was healthy. And Craycraft, who is a dependable player, would be getting those targets, but that's only one part of it. He is one of their best blockers, pound for pound, on the entire roster. Like, he is a phenomenal blocker from the wide receiver position, and not having him out there has like they're just getting their asses kicked. They really are at the point of impact out there on the outside, and there's nowhere for these poor running backs to run because they're like the corners and safeties are just, and linebackers are crushing the wide receivers. So a lot of things have gone wrong to contribute to what we've seen on offense, but I always start at the fundamentals. Are they blocking well enough? Are they doing the bare minimum? Like, that's the thing, is that, like, if this team was getting beat because it's a talent deficiency, but they're not getting penalized 10, 11 times a game, and they're not turning the ball over in dumb ways and doing these things that you would just want to pull your hair out, you could almost understand because of all the injuries they've had. No, they're just completely killing themselves. Like, how many times have they had a great run, an 8-yard run in 1st and 10 that gets called back for a hold? It happens at least once or twice a game. Those are like, this offense, as currently constituted, cannot overcome any penalties, let alone a 1st and 10 holding call, where in essence it's an 18-yard penalty because you get all the yardage that you gain wiped out too. Just go and do the basic stuff right. Like, and that to me is like, I know, to kind of harken back to Brian Flores, it takes no talent, right? It takes no talent wall, that anytime that there is a mental error, they'd go have to run and go and touch the wall. It seemed kind of junior high-ish, right? But those teams are more disciplined than what we're seeing right now. That, to me, I think, is been the constant disappointment of Mike McDaniel's time here. Yes, when your starting quarterback goes out, you're going to be a whole lot less dynamic. But just be competent. Like, just they lost a playoff game largely because they couldn't get the snap off in time, right? Like, they were, what they +3 in that Bills game? You're +3 in turnovers in a playoff game, you're supposed to win. But they couldn't do the small things right. And when you go on the road, this offense, I mean, I know I might be running along here, but this offense has way too many moving parts to work with your QB1 out there when you're on the road and you're trying to get a play call in 20 seconds, and then you got to line up and you get the substitutions. It's just not working. And they need to simplify it, particularly now that they got a backup quarterback, their 4th quarterback in 3 weeks on the field that we're going to see tonight. They need to dumb it down. They need just to go to the basic stuff that they can be functional with and hope it's enough to beat a really bad Titans team.
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating part. It's not just that they look bad. They look unprepared, and I know that's something you've talked about too. Bees, I'll ask you straight up. Do you think they're going to win this game tonight?
Yes, I do. I might be nuts, but they are a better team at home. Their offense does function better at home. And the Titans, look, their offensive line is worse than the Dolphins. Their right tackle situation is just a complete and utter disaster. I think this might be a big Jalen Phillips night, maybe a big Chop Robinson night for them. They're going to get pressure on Will Levis, and when he's pressured, he folds like a cheap suit. I think they're going to do enough. Do I think they're going to score 24 points? Probably not, but they also probably won't need to. I think 20-13 might be what we're looking at tonight.
He's Adam Beasley, Pro Football Network. We always appreciate your time, Bees. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys, enjoy the game.
There you go. Adam Beasley always does a fantastic job. We'll take a break. More Game Day Uncensored after this.
We have an important announcement regarding
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
You could say this past week in Dolphins land was tumultuous. A lot of questions following the Week 3 mess against the Seahawks. Among other things, just who is the quarterback of this team in Tua's absence? And what exactly do Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer need to do to right the ship? Coach McDaniel knows there is some fixing to be done.
There were definitely some results that were not what we were expecting, but you have to, it doesn't matter how you feel. Your job is to take whatever it is, however unexpected, and figure it out.
Jalen Waddle says, time to step up.
We know we're better than what we putting out there, but I think it's good for us. I look at the last 2 seasons or since Mike been here, and then going to first 3 weeks, we had a whole bunch of hype and all this crazy stuff with all this media attention, and we get to see what our team made of early.
There's a national audience for you tonight, Jalen, all looking to see what the Finns got. We're getting ready for Monday Night Football in Miami Gardens on Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. The Dolphins and Titans, Tobin and Solana, along with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back in, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin and Alejandro Solana here with you. Dan Day producing. You guys can listen to Dan tonight, 11 o'clock for your 11 o'clock, 11:30, Dan. Did I mess that up? 11:30?
11:30.
We're going to get started early.
11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock for Game Day Uncensored post-game edition. Let us get to our actives and inactives, which are brought to you by JM Lexus. In South Florida, when you think football, you think Miami Dolphins and Miami Hurricanes. When you think Lexus, think JM Lexus. Well, right now, we've got it all for fall. All right, so the actives and inactives are out. Solana, here's what we got. Not a lot of surprises on here, especially based on today's national report on Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is inactive. Teron Armstead, we knew, inactive. Kendall Fuller, inactive. David Long Jr., linebacker, he is inactive, dealing with a hamstring injury. And then Mo Kamara remains inactive. He is yet to make his debut this season. But this does put Ethan Bonner as an activation. He has been inactive for this season, as is the debut, it seems like, will be the debut of Malik Washington.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. He had a pretty exciting preseason. Everybody was raving about Malik Washington. Get the ball in his hands. He's not a guy either that I think that you necessarily need to go find him as a receiver. We talked about the return game. We talked about what he could bring as a returner. Just get the ball in his hands. Trust me, based on this preseason, we should base nothing on preseason, but that's all I got from Malik Washington. And he looked pretty dynamic with the ball in his hands at times.
Yeah, but he's your third receiver today.
Yep.
So, take that however you want to take that. Hopefully that's good news, but Malik Washington is your third receiver making his debut today. So, I wouldn't say it's the best situation, but you're right. There are other facets of the game. He can make an impact, and then it's D. Eskridge who was elevated today. So that's what you're going with. Expect, I would imagine, Tobin, if there's going to be a passing game, it's HN, Waddle, and Tyreek. I mean, how could you rely on somebody making their debut today and then D. Eskridge, who had one nice reception in garbage time last week?
I don't know, man. Like, I just think they're looking for a spark anywhere, and I think even with Achan, there was questions about what was he going to be able to do. And then the guy came out like gangbusters for this team. So I'm not dismissing it. I think that if this is just one of those times, somebody's got to pick it up for this team. And we mentioned this earlier. I just feel like they need a lead in the worst way, literally the first time this season, get themselves just going in the right direction. And maybe it will be Malik Washington. I don't know. But everybody raved about him. So that is definitely an element of tonight's game that I am excited about.
It almost feels like you're saying, hey, you win the coin toss, usually a team would defer.
Yeah.
Today, accept.
I don't know.
Receive. Go run a scripted drive and get some points on the board, man.
I don't know what Mike McDaniel's going to do. Like last week, I see one of the things that I was disappointed with last week is I just feel like I didn't recognize that guy, that little weirdo who talks too long and has cool glasses and cool shoes. I always knew that this guy was quirky. But I also looked at him as a coach with big balls, guy would take some risks. And then like immediately out of the gate, he's meekly walking away at 4th and 1 to go for a 57-yard field goal on the road. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is Mike McDaniel? What have you done?
And there was always this element of, oh, what's he going to deploy here?
Right.
Oh, you had a full offseason with Jonnu Smith? Like, oh, Mike McDaniel, the biggest nerd in the NFL in a good way, like what's he going to do here? And okay, you're going for it on 4th and 1. Oh, let me just hand the ball off to who we thought was Lusaka Polite 2.0 and Alec Ingold, and it gets stopped again. So where is that creativity? Not just the balls, like not just the cojones of, yeah, I'm going for it on 4th and 1. Analytics say I should. I'm gonna do it. But also, where's the creativity? Where is the ability to get a guy like Malik Washington and provide him an opportunity to make a spark? Where is it?
I don't know. I'm the only thing I can go by now is that Skylar Thompson was just so inept. Although this isn't just a Skylar thing, like they did not have a great week the week beforehand with Tua. Yes, there were interceptions you could put on your bum third receivers that aren't even on the team anymore. Sure. But whatever, man, like you put them in that position. And that's the thing is we've talked about this ad nauseum with the idea you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, target them more and try to get them the ball, feed them the ball. If you're going to go down with your best weapons. Don't sit here and lose with Grant DeBose and Robbie Chosen. So that's what I'm hoping for. But it's tough. It's tough to say, but I kind of feel hopeless with it right now because I need to see it.
Right.
It's one of those things where all you're left with is faith because it's unproven stuff.
Yeah, and you try to stay level-headed throughout an NFL season. You don't want to go week by week and overreact. Either you win and you feel like, okay, this team is on an upward trajectory, and then you lose and you're like, this team's doomed. But it's hard not to feel that way after last week. I will say, I told you, I think this game is going to be won on the defensive side of the football.
Mm-hmm.
Can the defense keep this team in the game? No David Long Jr. is a big miss. I think that was expected, though.
Classic revenge game for him, too.
Yeah, I know. Well, Aaron Brewer will get the revenge game.
Hopefully.
It's
all on you, Aaron.
But, hey, Ethan Bonner is another guy. All offseason. We always have these, like, darlings of the offseasons, right?
Yep.
But Ethan Bonner, 2 years in the program, in the organization, being developed, and we didn't see him. And everybody talked about him this offseason again. That he stood out. He made the 53-man roster, Tobin.
Didn't Jalen Waddle say more growth than anybody?
Yes.
I think he said that.
So, okay, today he gets his opportunity. You're banking on the defense to keep you in this game, force Will Levis to turn the ball over. Every other team in the NFL has been able to do that multiple times. I'm looking at these two guys. I'm not saying that they're the X factors in the game. I don't expect them to win you the game. But again, we've talked about roster issues, roster construction, and these are guys you kept around to make plays at some point. Now you need them to step up.
We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored. When we come back, Mike McDaniel was asked this week about his role as a play caller. Would he give it up? Has he thought about giving it up? We will hear the answer from the head coach, as the Miami Dolphins have been very, very piss poor on offense. So what is the alleged guru who Solana's ready to take his guru ranking away from him? I mean, like, I don't make the rules, Mike. That's just what it is. Your guru
Stripping it,
status
man.
is on the line tonight. It's like a captain in hockey. You're just going to strip the C off of his jersey.
Take it right off.
Take the G right off of his polo. No longer a guru. So we'll get into that. Mike McDaniel on his play calling future with the Dolphins as Game Day Uncensored rolls on after this.
This hurricane season, keep it on AM 5
On AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is game day, uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Getting you ready for Dolphins and Titans from Hard Rock Stadium. Solana, were you surprised or not surprised that Adam Beasley let us know the crowd looking a little light? According to him, it was the easiest game he's gotten into all year. You surprised that people seeming rats off a ship with where the season's at right now?
I would have been surprised because you know what, man? No matter how bad your team is, I've been to a lot of Monday Night Football games.
Fun.
If you get a chance to go, you go. Like any primetime game, you go. Lights, sun's down for a football game. Get your ass to that stadium. It's going to be a good time. But
also, you're not baking, which is nice.
Yeah, that is an astute point by you.
Yep.
But I saw today tickets on sale, $15, like row 8 of the upper deck. I mean, those are good tickets. $15 on StubHub. I can't remember what beat reporter posted on Twitter. $15 for a Monday Night Football game.
It's more expensive to park
in Miami. I mean, like when you see that, you're like, huh? Well, I guess people are rats off a ship, as you'd say.
Yeah, it's not a great look. I get it, but it is week 4. If it was like week 12 and they were, 3-9 and that's just how you want to go, all right. The season was a disappointment, but wasn't this supposed to be like a season ticket wait list and all that type of stuff? That's a little surprising. I don't know. I would figure for a Monday night game, what else you doing? That's one of those, Sunday, I don't want to bake in the sun or I don't feel like, melting. Maybe I could hear you out, but a Monday night primetime game, that's I hope that's not like a bad look tonight on television.
Are people like deflated though with this team already? Because you're saying, hey, it's week 4. I mean,
I think people are pissed more than deflated. Like I will say, you could feel apathy and you could feel anger. And I think people right now are angry with the Dolphins more so than apathy. Like the Marlins are apathy right now. They're like, did you even know the season ended this weekend? It did. If you didn't, they don't have their manager anymore. They lost 100 games. Who cares? Who are you mad at? The Bruce Sherman, we never see him. I don't know what he looks like. You don't know what he looks like. It was like Bruce Sherman could be Danny Crossman for all we know. you wouldn't know. Like, is that the Dolphins special team court? We should play a game. Special teams coordinator of the Dolphins or Marlins owner. You wouldn't know the difference.
I would.
But it's no, I think people are pissed right now. I think rightfully so. I think that, and look, it's not all on everybody there because you need your starting quarterback, you need your ponies, of course. You need your stars, but they've been it's been so bad, not just with Tua, but just the idea that you couldn't even go out there and put up a respectable performance without him. That's what I think people are pissed about.
But I think there's also some excitement about, in a weird way, there's some excitement about Snoop Huntley tonight. Is there not?
I agree with that. I think if you would have started Skylar tonight, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple hours ago, is
right.
Man, Skylar would have had to lit up that first drive. Otherwise, you would have had a lot of boo birds, restless crowd. I do think that there's an element of Snoop Huntley. And listen, that there's gonna be people cheering for him. Like he's got a hometown crowd. I'm sure there's got to be a good contingent there to see the hometown kid do what he can do tonight. So that's definitely an exciting element of this.
Yeah, that to me is kind of the only exciting element to this, because you talk about how bad they were to me, it's like what's hard to wrap your head around is how are they going to get themselves out of this hole until Tua gets back. It also doesn't help that Tennessee sucks.
Yep.
So you're not paying big money. You're not paying $100 to go watch Will Levis. This team lit you up last year in the final 6 minutes of the game, 4 minutes of the game. This team lit you up last year. Like we talked about it, this should have been a situation where that stadium is packed. People are waiting in long-ass lines to get there, and they can't wait for the Dolphins to roll over the team that essentially ended their season last year. And instead, you're just hoping that the guy who's been a part of your roster for 12 days is going to be able to get you out of this mess. But I am surprised that the stadium isn't more full or that tickets aren't going for a bit more expensive because, man, it's week 4.
It is week 4.
It's week 4.
And if they win tonight, they're all right for now.
Yeah.
For now. Yeah. It's not – I'm not going to give you guys grand illusions. Like, the Dolphins have a lot to prove and a lot to show. But right now, their goal is get this win, kind of just tread water right now. That's what I need. If you find a piece of driftwood and not an anchor, that's what you need to do right now.
The NFL is so random too, man. I mean, just look, we went through the league a few hours ago, but like it's so damn mediocre that if you do find that driftwood and maybe it's Snoop Huntley, like, okay, you give yourself a chance. They need it tonight, though. They need him to at least look competent out there, and then the rest of the team makes some plays. They need it, Tobin. And I think the setting is perfect. Monday Night Football. Think weird things happen in prime time. Would you agree? I mean, weird things happen in prime time, man.
All right, I'll take you. I'll
buy
just
into
agree
that.
with
Let's
you,
go.
but I'm not sure if that's true or not. I mean, last night, weird things, I guess, what was the weird thing? Derrick Henry still looks like he's 24.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, have you seen his diet? I mean, the guy, he doesn't eat dairy. He doesn't eat.
Smart.
He doesn't eat until like after 5 p.m.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, he looks better than you. No offense.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not a high bar, though. You would agree with that. I mean, like the Skylar Thompson of bodies.
No, but I'm just saying it's possible that there could be that spark tonight. I'm not confident about it. I've been more upset with this team than you have, truthfully, and I've been, more prone to crushing McDaniel and Greer than you have as well. But I'm also not just going to say, "Hey, the season's over." Like they deserve the benefit of the doubt to dig themselves out of this hole.
Well, let's hear from Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel was asked this week about his play calling duties. And would he ever consider giving up play calling? He's been asked about this a couple times in the lead up to this season. It's kind of no-showed it, but obviously with the Dolphins being where they are, first time under 500 in his tenure as Dolphins coach. You tell me what you think, Solana, of his answer to being called out if he should be calling plays anymore.
When you reflect on the games like that, or let's just say this Sunday's game specifically, have you ever felt like, I guess, delegating offensive play calling roles, or do you feel like that is still something that you're comfortable doing moving forward?
Yeah, I think that, whatever it is, I think I'm a veteran enough to the National Football League that I expect to field those types of questions randomly when your production isn't near what anyone wants. So I think it's important as the head coach and leader to take accountability for all decisions made. And then as well as what if we had numerous touchdowns that were terribly timed play calls that players just made right? I think you have to, I don't just make that assessment. I think it'd be incredibly irresponsible if I just went with the results. So, I think every time that I call plays, I'm de facto, doing so in the light that I think it's the best for the team.
He didn't like that.
No,
he didn't like that.
But I think he answered it the right way. Like it wasn't cutesy, you know? It was just I think it was an honest answer from Mike McDaniel.
Yes, but I do wonder, man, about the operation of this team sometimes. You know, I get it. You know, he calls a complex playbook. Everybody is, you know, marvels at the way this team motions and people were going to outlaw it and all that stuff. I get it. And you're right. Like, I've been a Mike McDaniel supporter. I dig that there's a different element to him and the way that he carries himself. Now, do I get exhausted cutting up 90 minutes of press conference every week from him? Yes, I do. You could be more efficient with your words, which would lend one to believe, what is he like with his words in the midst of an actual work setting? Because usually wasters of words are wasters of words in all facets.
Correct.
Not just in press conferences.
When you need to get the play to your quarterback in a swift and efficient manner, how was that sounding? Because as it looked the other day on the field, it didn't look like it was getting translated the right way.
Yeah, it looked like he spoke.
And Mike McDaniel, Skylar Thompson looked confused. And I'll say,
he may have one of those looks, though. Like, you would agree, Skylar Thompson has a bit of a confused face.
He does. Yeah. He also
doesn't help.
Doesn't realize that when a guy's running at you, you might want to protect your body. You know, don't just let a 250-pound guy running full speed at you just unleash every fiber in his being into your chest and not protect your body.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a wise thing for a quarterback to do.
Also, what did they have? 4th and 39 at one point in that game? He's like getting chased down. I'm like, this is a mess.
Tobin at the end of the half. I mean, they're okay. They line up. There's 3 seconds left. You're gonna try for a Hail Mary. There's nobody in the end zone, and then he forgets that there's guys running after him. Like Alec Ingold ran a 7-yard route. Tyreek Hill didn't run to the end. Nobody ran to the end zone. Run the ball. Like for that, what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Look, how could we have confidence after that showing? The worst offensive showing in the Mike McDaniel era.
Yep.
Not just because the eye test proves it, but the numbers bear that out as well. How can you have confidence in that? The questions he's being asked are fair because of it. And like I said, he deserves to have the benefit of the doubt to figure it out.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If this doesn't get better, right, everybody says he's pretty Teflon. Like, I would imagine he's going to have to say bleep Stephen Ross on a podium for him to get fired. So let's just say the Dolphins have some run-of-the-mill, very disappointing season. That's like, 5-12, whatever. That's going to be the first thing everybody's going to go to. Like, that's the coach's move, is we're going to take away your play calling duties. It's going to be the thing. So, yeah, he may not like hearing it, but it sure is bleep not going to be the last time he hears it if this doesn't get right.
Yeah, but the reason you brought him here is because of that. You know what I mean, Tobin? It's like
you do, but here's the thing. You bring somebody here and you think that's what they're going to be good at, and they may not necessarily be good at that. So, like, he turned out, you thought, oh, he's from the Shanahan coaching tree, brilliant guy. He may be a brilliant guy. He's obviously, quite obviously, I don't care if people don't like his methods or not, he's very clearly a good manager of people. He has respect of stars. Maybe, maybe he's a little bit too lenient. Okay. But the locker room, the cachet with free agents, how the organization is run, that I think he has graded part that he has graded well in. And quite frankly, what has been the complete opposite of Brian Flores. Now, Brian Flores seems schematically like there's not many people better than him calling a defense around the league. Like, this guy is giving quarterbacks nightmares all over the place. He was just a jerk. Yeah. But, so the Dolphins haven't been able to find that blend yet of guy who can run the organization well and guy who can call the game perfectly on game day. So I don't know, man. I don't know if he's going to get better at that.
But to me, it's like, okay, you draft or you trade for a wide receiver, right? You sign a wide receiver. It's like signing Tyreek Hill. Hey, come be our wide receiver. Come catch passes. And all of a sudden, Tyreek Hill can't catch passes. I mean, you're going to say, well, then why do we want you here? And to me, that's the way I look at it with Mike McDaniel. Again, I'm not calling for him to be fired, but if this season leads to, hey, I'm not going to call plays anymore, I'm with you, right? Like, you have to evaluate every circumstance. And if it's best for the team, it's best for the team. That's fine. I'm not telling you that if he's here, he absolutely needs to call plays. I'm just looking at it from the perspective and the context of when he was hired. It was to come fix the offense, to come be the guy who's the difference between being a mediocre offense and being the type of offense we saw flashes of last year. And if now, not only did you have a season of turmoil and a season where he couldn't maximize the guys he picked for these situations, now he's also not going to call the plays anymore. I mean, you have to seriously consider or question whether you picked the right guy or not to lead this team. I'm with you, by the way. I think he's a great manager of people. But you know what, Tobin? That's also because he's been winning. They've made the playoffs 2 straight years. They haven't won in a playoff game. But that stuff and the respect earned across the league and him being a manager of people and having command of the locker room and getting along with his star players, all that seems good because he's winning. The second he's not winning, you think Tyreek Hill's going to be happy about this season? He's getting passes from Snoop Huntley and Skylar Thompson.
Well, that's the thing that's interesting. Like, they're a little bit different. You know, I compare it to like the Bengals situation, right? Like the Bengals are in a much more ominous situation because their stars didn't get paid other than Joe Burrow. So if their season continues to flatline and goes in a bad direction, yeah, it's not great. But the Dolphins, like, who's really going to make a stink here? The guys who you think would. Jalen Ramsey got paid. Tyreek Hill did. Jalen Waddle did. Who's going to make a stink? Javon Holland doesn't really seem like his makeup. So I don't think that's there right now. I don't really worry about that. But I don't know, man. This is one of those where, for his standpoint, he and the quarterback are tied. That's how it is. And when if the two experiment ends, it'll probably be the end of Mike McDaniel, most likely. Is there any chance that he coaches another quarterback? I mean, if Tua walks away, I guess, from football, then yeah, I guess he'll get another crack at it. But there's a reason why that owner gave him, the extension, and there's a reason, and Chris Greer's not going anywhere. I think it has to be nuclear epically bad for Stephen Ross to really consider going in another direction.
I'm with you, but I also think with that extension comes expectations.
Sure.
And
of course.
And it's not just, hey, you had one bad season. I mean, the expectations coming into this year were something that I don't think any of us think they can still achieve because of the quarterback situation. But even before Tua went down, it didn't look good. It just didn't.
No.
And now the only team you beat, you didn't have a lead against, it might be the worst team in the NFL. Like, with that contract extension, you're right. It probably secures him his job for quite some time, and rightfully so, by the way. It's the same way I felt about the Tua contract extension. Like, they earned that.
Yeah, but you're right in that, and I don't want this to come off as callous, but the Tua concussion, it's kind of a bit of a team crutch right now, because the truth about it was, even before he got hurt, they were getting embarrassed by their biggest rival.
Yeah.
And if it would have just gone to, they go to Seattle next week, and even say they win, even if they're 2-1 right now, we're going to have the back in our minds, but you guys got smoked by the Bills. That's the facts of it. So they still have a lot of proving to do, but it starts tonight. We'll take a break here on Game Day Uncensored, our favorite action. We got Omar Kelly. He's going to stop by at the top of next hour. We got to talk about that action for tonight, boss. We got to talk about that action for tonight. Do I put more money on Julian Hill and continue to torture myself? You bet your ass I do. Plus more Porpoise props after this.
Football coverage on WQAM is
till kickoff, 7:30. Let's get to a little bit of a porpoise props here on the program. All right, Solana, here's what we got tonight. We are locked in, by the way. All right, I'm 10 toes down when it comes to Julian Hill. Hopefully he can just be 2 paws off somebody's jersey when it comes to holding.
You're going to ride that all season, though, right? Because if you're riding it today, you might as well.
Yeah, I have to. I'm a man of principle.
Okay.
I'm a man of principle.
All right.
I don't know why. I'm not a man of principle. I don't know why I said that. but I'm Pat committed. The odds are too good. And he was so close. He was 3 yards away. He was like right there. He was right there, dude. I was like, oh, man. I thought he was going to get in. I thought that was going to be the case. But anytime touchdowns tonight, Solana. Tyreek Hill, he is plus 170. Devon Achan's the favorite. He's minus 110. Tyreek Hill's plus 170. Waddle, it's 3-1, plus 300. Tyler Huntley's plus 300. And Jalen Wright plus 575. Any of these sticking out to you right now? Jonnu Smith plus 575?
Yeah, I want to believe in Jonnu Smith, but I mean, what have we seen from Jonnu Smith? I don't feel confident that Jonnu Smith has some sort of package all of a sudden week 4.
Yeah.
If we haven't seen it through week 3, like how do I feel confident about it? Tobin, is this team going to be able to get into the red zone? I think that's the question. Are they going to be able to get in the red zone? And if they are, then yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up. You take your pick. Tyreek isn't a bad bet any week because it's Tyreek Mother Bleeping Hill.
Right. One time he'll just pick up a fumble and run for a touchdown.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you get him at plus money, that can never hurt. Tyler Huntley's over-under, 168.5.
Man, I hope it's over.
You don't sound very confident.
I don't.
Will Levis is 193.5. Man, look at these over-unders. Jalen Waddle, 35.5.
What about Huntley rushing yards?
Okay. Tyler Huntley rushing yards tonight is set at 33.5.
Yeah, I think it was up a little bit at 34 and it dropped. Or it actually dropped to 32 and now it went up to 33.5.
Jalen Wright's over-under is 11.5 yards. It's got to have more than 11.5 yards, right? As long as there's not a holding penalty. No Raheem Mostert tonight. 12 yards. Jalen Wright. He's got to get that, dude.
Are they going to use Jalen Wright, though?
I don't know. It's a fair question. That's a fair question. Tyreek Hill over half a yard.
So I've been looking at that.
That's interesting.
I've been looking at that since yesterday. It almost seems like a sucker's bet, though, does it not? They're dangling in it for you, plus 175. He needs one carry to get it. Is it going to come like a jet sweep, an end around? How cutesy are they going to get? It goes back to the conversation we had with Adam Beasley, right?
Yep.
Do you think, A, there's new plays implemented just for Tyler Huntley? And B, is it going to be conservative, or are they going to go out there and have a little bit of trickery? Tobin, I told you this after week 1, before Tua got injured. You've got Devon Achan, Mostert when he's healthy, Jalen Wright, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle, and not much else. Give me some Wildcat action if you need to. Right? Like line Devon Achan in the backfield up with Tyreek Hill if you need to. Fake the pitch to him. I don't know. Like, get creative.
I'm with you, dude.
Get creative to get these guys the ball. And if it needs to be Wildcat, and you know, God rest his soul, Tony Sperano, we got to get the Sperano fist bump here. Like, sign me up for that, man.
All right. Devon Achan tonight, 100 yards rushing, 4-1. Plus 400? Not juicy enough for you? Not with this run game?
At 62.5?
No, this is just to get 100. This is his over-unders at 62.5. That's minus
okay, gotcha.
115. If you think he can cross the century mark, plus 400.
I would take that as a flyer. What I think they're going to do tonight is pound the damn ball. I really do. I believe that's how it's going to be. As Bees was alluding to, 2-1, 2 rushes for every throw. I think it's worth taking a flyer on that. I really do.
What about Tyler Huntley? 2 or more touchdowns, so he has to score. Plus 2,000.
It's worth it.
Jalen Waddle, 2 touchdowns.
No shot.
No shot?
No shot.
No shot?
0% chance.
Plus 2,500.
If it happens, clip me. Tell me I'm a bozo, but there's no shot. This guy's scored a single touchdown. All of a sudden, Tyler Huntley's getting the ball for 2.
You told me crazy things happen on prime time. By the way, somebody pointed out correctly. I think it was Josh on YouTube. He says, "Are you sure it's just not weird stuff happens to the Dolphins on prime time?"
Right.
You may be scarred.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, 2 or more touchdowns, plus 1,500. What about the Cheetah for 2 scores?
Yeah, man.
If you're going to bet tonight, you feel most safe about Cheetah bets, like Cheetah's going to Cheetah. You can't hold the Cheetah down for more than a game.
Right.
More than 2 games, really. That Cheetah's going to cut loose because that's what he does, and you feel confident that they're going to give Devon Achane a bunch of carries.
My thing is, okay, you have Tyreek Hill. You have the Cheetah. You're not going to utilize him for 3 straight games. You know what I mean? Like, how is that even possible? It doesn't seem possible. And I really think Huntley they're going to try to get the ball to Tyreek as quickly and as early as possible in this game and just let him do what he does. I'm not telling you I love Tyreek Hill, 2 touchdowns, but if this team is scoring 2 touchdowns in this game, outside of Devon Achane and maybe Tyler Huntley running in the red zone, I think your best bet is Tyreek Hill. I really do.
I think you might be right about that. I'm very intrigued by the rushing yards. That seems like a layup. I feel like they're going to – that to me is a Mike McDaniel classic because he's going to try and get the ball in Tyreek Hill's hands. Be damned. However.
But to give you an example where Vegas feels this game is going to end up, Tyreek Hill, just receptions, right?
Yep.
It's set at 4.5, the over-under. The over is at plus 105.
Oh, really?
And the under is a heavy favorite at minus 140. They don't think Tyreek Hill is going to get his hands on the ball that often.
This feels like one of those things like we could know immediately whether or not Tyler Huntley is going to be like a thing or not. Like the tone of it feels immediately. So you either got to take this as a flyer or you're missing out. That's how it feels because he could either come out tonight, he could poop the bed just as bad as Skylar did.
Right.
Or we're all gonna feel like idiots because this guy is competent and can actually get the ball to somebody.
If he poops the bed as bad as Skylar, then you really have no hope. But how could it be as bad as Skylar Thompson? It doesn't get worse than that. We just found out it was the worst performance from a quarterback in the Mike McDaniel era. Like it you have to go up from there. You have to.
One would think. And that's why, again, I go back to, fast start, being able to just get a lead for the first time.
Yeah.
The relief, I think your team will be peacocking a little bit. I think the building will feel a little bit of sense of ease. All those things are very interesting, but none of them will deter me from betting Julian Hill anytime touchdown. It's in.
I can tell you one bet that's not hitting tonight, man. And it's the bet you put in. Julian Hill anytime.
You don't know that. This could be the night.
Okay.
This could be the night. They play him a lot.
If this is the night, then I'm vindicated. Weird things happen on Monday Night Football.
Well, the thing that I really have to know is once he hits the touchdown, do I keep betting it? Like, do I have to let his profits ride?
You're riding with it all season. By the way.
No, Dan is shaking his head. No, he's like, no, just one time you're out. Like a cat burglar. You got away with it. Don't return to the scene of the crime.
Jalen Phillips, over a half a sack, minus 120. Calais Campbell, over a half a sack, plus 115. Zach Sealer, plus 115. Bro, one of those guys is getting to Will Levis.
I love Zach Sealer. I just want to let you know, in the steaming turd that was last week, the one rose was a man's man, Zach Sealer. I love him because he gets sacks. He gets his hands on the football. He deserves better. And I honestly think he could play guard better than Liam Eichenberg if he needed to.
Try it out. If things get bad tonight, put anybody at guard.
Oh, no. All right. We'll take a break here on Gameday Uncensored. Omar Kelly, Miami Dolphins columnist from the Miami Herald. We'll chop it up with him as we close into kickoff. Back after this.
Football fans, picture this. You bet on your favorite player to score the first touchdown, and he throws a block, and his teammate scores instead. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to gamble responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age and older. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Your home is your castle, but maybe you're at the point where it doesn't feel like it anymore. Well, you could do something about it. Call my friends at Cricket Outdoor Living. Turn your outdoors into your dream outdoors. From outdoor kitchens and aluminum pergolas to grills and artificial turf, a brand new pool to a remodel of your current pool, Cricket Outdoor Living is the solution. Call Ariel, the owner. He's so knowledgeable about making your outdoors look great again. 786-518-1091 or cricketpavers.com.
Experience the difference at Doral Kia. Choose from our great inventory of brand new Kia models in stock now and ready for immediate delivery. Like the new 2024 Kia Telluride or Sportage. Stop in and take a test drive today. You'll find some of the best deals of the year. See why Doral Kia
Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore's Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It's game day. Uncensored here. 560 WQAM. Let's go talk to our guy, Miami Herald, Miami Dolphins columnist, Omar Kelly, joining us here on the program. How are you, Omar?
I'm excellent, gentlemen. How are you doing? It's a very light crowd. Hopefully Solana isn't wearing bobos inside the studio.
Omar, let's get this out of the way. What's your issue with my shoes? Let's go. What's the problem?
Okay. What brand are they, sir?
On Cloud. I mean, these are the Feds. The Federer, Roger Federer on Clouds. I mean, they're not like Gucci, like Mike McDaniel showing up in today. But I mean, these didn't cost me $19 on the clearance section either.
Okay, all right. I mean,
well,
I don't know. They just look. They look like a Zara knockoff.
On Cloud's a respectable brand now, Omar.
Okay, I'm gonna look these On Clouds up.
Okay.
They didn't look clean white. If you're gonna wear white sneakers, you know they got to be clear.
They're not.
They gotta
You're right.
be clean.
They're not. They're not as clean as they should be. You're right.
And you dressed them up you dressed a suit down with them. Come on, bro. Like, what are we doing here?
And he's showing ankle, which I always kind of find. Like, what are you?
Yeah,
you're not D-Wade.
Exactly.
I don't wear socks.
No. He's an ankle shower, so I respect the ankle showing. But if you're going to draw attention to the ankle, the shoes must be pristine, and they weren't.
That is a fair criticism. I'm willing to concede there. My shoes are not as clean as they should be, but dressing down a suit with sneakers is nobody should own dress shoes anymore. You don't need to wear dress shoes anymore.
Ooh, no, but they've worked so hard to make dress shoes comfortable like sneakers. I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm also not a big fan of sneakers with suits. Like, if I'm going to wear a suit, I'm not a Can Wolf guy who's going to have my Jordans on with a 3-piece suit on.
Yeah.
And everybody in the NFL is doing that now on like sidelines.
Yeah.
I just can't get with it. I just can't.
Well, Mike McDaniel, you think he's going to pick his plays better than his shoes today?
Oh, you know what? I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, Mike's doing a horrible job play calling. You can't be a brilliant. Like, we will admit and acknowledge that we call this guy brilliant for 2 years, right? And now he's a dodo bird. You don't go from brilliant to dodo bird. I think part of the problem that you had, the first game, you played like poop for the first half. You turned it up in the second half, managed and did enough to win the game. Okay, the second half, big monumental build-up to a Buffalo Bills game where your quarterback, more your quarterback than your team, pooped the bed. I mean, just literally 3 interceptions. He's trying to, put on a cape and run it in and then gets his egg scrambled. Not a good look. Then game 3, we started a quarterback who clearly was not prepared for that pressure, that crowd, that atmosphere, the noise, and you just looked like you were incompetent. And okay, now the question is, will it get better when we're basically working off a quarterback who has been here for all of 6 practices? So we magically, last week he hadn't been here long enough to even be the number 2 quarterback, even though you clearly knew he was better than your number 2 quarterback because it wasn't even a consideration.
Omar, are you a guru? Are you a guru or are you not a guru? Like, if you're an offensive guru stuff up.
You're correct, and you're right. I think that they have spent so much time, and this is my personal opinion, I think that they've spent so much time building up this playbook, expanding this playbook, creating this Jonnu Smith package, that they really just didn't focus on doing what they did well. And then the things that they did well last year, which is the outside zone runs, which set the table for everything else. Why aren't you doing it well this year? Well, I can tell you why you're not doing it well, because your Pro Bowl running back, who had the second best season statistically in the NFL last year of all the backs, he's been on the sidelines now for his third straight game. And then your offensive line, let me tell you a secret. They're not as good as last year. And you got to deal with that. And this is a bet that you made for yourself. Your arrogance, your just smug nature. Oh, you guys are worried about the O-line more than we are.
At you.
They laughed in my face. Okay, well, who's having the last laugh right now? Because your O-line, they don't look that good.
I told you Eichenberg stunk.
But Omar,
he's actually one of the top performers on this line, which tells you exactly how much he's struggling.
Congratulations, tallest dwarf.
Omar, first of all, the Jonnu Smith package, non-existent. There is no Jonnu Smith package. Like
I swear there is. I've seen it.
Well,
there is.
Well, again, like I don't know. I can't believe you. And I'm not, Omar. You know, I'm ride or die with you, but I can't believe you because I mean we're going into week 4, and Jonnu Smith is he could just be on the sideline for all I know. I mean, there's no Jonnu Smith package. And to your point, that the guy that is starting today, who's been in the locker room for 12 days, was clearly better than Skylar Thompson, the guy who looked like a deer in headlights last week. I mean, this is Mike McDaniel's hand-picked backup quarterback for this situation, and he's been under Mike McDaniel's tutelage for 3 years. So, I mean, I'm at the point, Omar, where I'm stripping him of any guru title, period. Like last week to me was the last straw because this is, I'm with you. There are a lot of different things that lead to the offense not looking good. And you can't just say, hey, Mike McDaniel's effing up. I'm with you there. But I also think most of the things that have gone wrong are mismanagement, top from Mike McDaniel down to Mike McDaniel.
I don't disagree with you. The only thing I could say in Mike McDaniel's defense is we watched Skylar beat Mike White. We literally watched it, all of us. Now, could we say, hey, in the weeks that we watched OTAs and you looked at both of those quarterbacks when Tua wasn't working, you should have said to yourself, this is not good enough. We got to do something. We got to address it. They didn't, and then they're in the situation that they're in now.
I like the idea of Solana stripping him of guru status, like a commission strips a boxer from his championship.
No. I never supported the QB guru label, belief, theory, perception that Mike had. I never supported it because I'm of the opinion, and you guys know this, I'm a big Tua believer. Yes, he's not clutch. Yes, he is shrunk in moments where you needed him to be big, but he's a pretty damn good quarterback. And I think you're seeing exactly how good he is when you've seen the replacements. It's not Mike's magic that makes this offense go. It's Tua's ability. And I think part of what the problem is and the issue is that they have overcomplicated this offense and they didn't spend enough time doing the things that they do well and focusing on that. And I think they have to get back to that.
You've been talking a little bit this week about Patrick Paul, the rookie.
Yeah,
he's a giant. Are we going to see him? You think this is? Does he get unveiled today?
He starts. He gets unveiled. We're breaking. Or I was going to say something about cherries, but I'll keep it PG. We are putting him in the game. He's going to replace Teron Armstead. And the argument that I made in my Miami Herald column is, if you're not going to play him now, then when? And if we're just not going to play him, then how are we going to know that we have a replacement for Teron Armstead next year? And if we don't know, then what are we going to do? Because you clearly can't go into the season without a left tackle. So you need to see what you have. And if this is not a game at home that you're comfortable enough in seeing what you have from a second-round pick, then what the hell are you doing? Like everybody else is playing their second-round picks. Why are you not?
I'm with you. It's one of these things and Omar, he's a giant. Like, how bad could this get?
He's a huge human being. He's not huge and clumsy. He's huge with good footwork. He's got a nasty temperament, good hands. He didn't embarrass himself in the preseason. He's practiced well. There's no reason why you shouldn't play him. Yes, I love Kendall Lamb, but even Kendall will tell you, hey, they draft you in the second round for a reason. Your time is going to come. Be ready. That's what he's consistently said to him. Okay, that time is now. Teron is sidelined for a week or two, and this is the first of probably 2 at least times Teron will be sidelined.
5, Omar. That's where I'm setting the line.
Very generous. What's your level of concern? And I know David Long, Kendall Fuller's out.
Yeah.
What are we looking for on this defensive side of the football?
Oh, I'm concerned. Even though I will say this, I liked what I saw from Anthony Walker in off-season program when he was working. Then he shut it down because of a knee injury, and that's what happens to old players and old and injury-prone players, which is this roster's full of them. But before that, I liked what I saw. Now, Kendall Fuller is a little bit more concerning for me because Storm Duck's out there with a bad shoulder, and and the 2 guys on the boundary are 2 big physical receivers who like to get their hands on you. So do I feel comfortable about a guy who has to tackle DeAndre Hopkins with a bad wing? I don't feel comfortable about that. And then my other option is Ethan Bonner, where, literally anytime Ethan Bonner is going to go on the field because he's the last of a dying breed. He's the last of a dead breed. He's resurrecting it. You're going to get what players call a milk alert, which means, hey, like, white guy is on the field at a position that he's not supposed to be playing.
That's what they call it? They call it milk alert?
Milk alert?
Yes, sir. That's what they call it.
What?
You didn't know that?
No. I mean, it's funny, objectively funny, but it's just...
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and people don't realize this, but there's certain positions where Caucasians have been phased out of the NFL. No, I'm dead serious. Before Christian McCaffrey got pushed out, like, tell me the last, running back. Christian McCaffrey's now at the top of his game, but that thing was dead before he got there. Hell, before they started taking over the slot position, wide receiver was a position where, I mean, it was slim pickings there in terms of guys who, and it honestly, it's not on the type of athlete. It's just that athletes who are Caucasian who fit those body positions, they went to go play other sports. They were smarter. They went to go play baseball or lacrosse or hockey or
lacrosse.
Lacrosse is huge. Lacrosse is taking all of the football athletes.
The intangibles love lacrosse.
Yeah, they do. Funny enough, milk alert also what Omar yells before getting on this show to talk to you and me. Omar.
I should yell milk alert for those sneakers.
Omar, walk me through a win, hypothetical win here for the Dolphins tonight. Does it come on the defensive end? I know you're saying you're very concerned with the defense, but we're very concerned about the offense too. So walk me through the best route for the Dolphins to win this game. Is it the offense conservative approach, run the football, as you said, try to get Tyreek and waddle the ball as many times as possible, and Huntley doesn't make mistakes, and the defense can force some turnovers and try to put this offense in a good position?
I think the recipe for success is have Tyreek in the slot, have him play scramble ball with Tyler Huntley, and find somebody out there on the boundary and make the best of this situation. Tyler Huntley is going to be one read, check down, or one read, scramble. And that's literally who he is as a quarterback. The question is, can Tyreek get off? Can Tyreek give you an 80-yard play like he did in the season opener? And I think he has that in him. The question is, how many targets will he get? And the run game just hasn't been what you wanted, what you expected, what you needed. And a lot of teams are playing it because they know that this is basically, without Tua, the best that Miami can do. So they're trying to take it away from them. So it's not as easy to sort of lean on the run game when a team wants to take it away from you. But then you should be able to beat them over the top. And unfortunately, with this quarterback play, they haven't.
Oh, before we get you out of here, there was a national report that Odell Beckham could open his practice window
Yeah,
very
of course.
soon. What's the optimism like for OBJ, and when could we expect him actually playing games?
I think you'll see him this week. Get that window open. I think you'll probably see him in 2 or 3 weeks. I think he's got chemistry with Tyler Huntley because they worked together in Baltimore last year, so that'll help. He is definitely a much needed element in this offense. The question is how much of this offense has he mastered? Does he have the wind to play 30 snaps in the NFL? And right now, considering they're using Estridge and Braxton Sucky Barrios, sorry to all those Braxton Barrios fans out there, but you should know right now, dude is mediocre at best. They've got nothing at receiver right now, and that's hurting the offense because teams take away Waddle and Tyreek. There's nobody that's beating them, and there's nobody that scares them. And unfortunately, the Jonnu Smith package it's turned out a little bit limp.
Well, yes, it has.
There's no package,
almost to
Omar.
non-existent, as Solana's telling you. That much shrinkage. Could use some Blue Chew.
Yeah, good call.
Omar,
I feel sorry for all those people that I encouraged for them to take Jonnu Smith on their fantasy team. My apologies.
Well, don't feel as bad for me because I keep betting Julian Hill anytime touchdown at 2,000 to 1, and he keeps getting penalty after penalty.
Throwing away money. That's
throwing
what,
away
that's
money
what
every
Tobin's
single
doing.
week.
Yeah, no, that Julian Hill. Julian Hill is actually the starter primarily because he's a phenomenal blocker, but that's about as much as you can count on.
But he's out there to block. They throw the ball anyways. They don't run the ball. He's out there to block, but they're not running it. Doesn't make any sense, Omar.
Yeah, life is tough, and this team. Hey, think about it, and I say this, and this is not to make an excuse, but tell me another NFL team right now that's had it worse than Miami in the first 3 games. Down your Pro Bowl quarterback, down your Pro Bowl left tackle, down your Pro Bowl running back, down your starting cornerback, down your leading tackler for the last 2 years. Like they're going through it right now, but adversity shows you who people are, and unfortunately, a lot of the fan base has quit. But I don't think this team has.
Omar Kelly, go check out his work. Miami Dolphins columnist from the Miami Herald, does a fantastic job with us every single week on Gameday Uncensored. And of course, you'll hear him throughout the week on WQM as well. Thank you, Omar.
Yeah, I actually be there with Joe tomorrow. So hopefully it's a victory. Now, if it's not, then we'll be writing everybody's death certificate.
Oh, man. See you, Omar. Take
All
care.
right, Omar.
There you
I
go.
guess.
Omar Kelly. Before we get out of here, Solana, let us go with predicting the game baller play to watch, which is brought to you by the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Can I interrupt you one
Yes.
second? Because
I
Omar's
just
talking about.
I just need to get the sponsor.
Yeah, no problem. Omar's talking about, being snake bit.
Yep.
How about this? From the Miami Dolphins, Jeff Wilson Jr. sustained a knee injury in pregame warmups. He is questionable for the game, which would mean if he can't play, Achane and Jalen Wright are your only 2 healthy running backs tonight.
Looks like I'm about to go bet Tyreek Hill half a yard rushing.
And I also saw, not that this matters for tonight, but I did see Adam Beasley say that Adam Schefter, Beasley tweeted,
Woj?
Adam Schefter, the new Woj, potentially, between him or Jeff Passan. Bizarre.
I don't like how this can just get passed around willy-nilly.
Who's going to be the mouthpiece for the agents? We'll find out soon. Adam Schefter reports Tua Tagovailoa is, quote, symptom-free and appears to be on track to return to the field as soon as Week 8. Kind of what we all expected. Again, not important for today, but a bit of news there.
All right. Yeah, listen, it definitely, first of all, it is great news that Tua is healthy. I think that is, we can talk about that being nothing but great news.
Yeah.
And I think we all understand that the Dolphins kind of did something out of an abundance of caution here. Like that is what it is.
An optics move.
Yeah, it was an
by the
optics
Dolphins.
move. It was.
Yeah.
Now, do I understand it being an optics move? For sure. I get it. And again, we don't have a ton of time to get into this, but I get it. Like they were under a ton of scrutiny the last time this happened. You do want to be careful every time these things hit. The concussion looked really bad. It looked really bad, but maybe it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. And again, we don't have time to dive in. We'll do it next week. But, what's the precedent here? If every time he has to leave a game, is this going to be the move? I mean, it's a difficult question for sure. To answer the question, game ball tonight.
Yes.
Well, guess what? Jeff Wilson Jr., I'm going with Devon Achane. Ride the hot hand. Jalen Wright, your backup. Mike McDaniel is going to give him the ball maybe half a time. So Devon Achane, get ready to be a workhorse tonight.
I am going to go with Jalen Waddle with the great analysis of he's due.
Monday Night Football,
He's
man.
due.
Give me Stephen Ross doing the hokey pokey up in the owner's suite.
That's Game Day Uncensored. Everybody tune in to Dan Day for Game Day Uncensored post-game edition starting at 11 o'clock. Either you're happy or sad. Phone calls. He's got those for you. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Adam Beasley, Omar Kelly for always joining us, and we will talk to you guys next time.
And that's the Week 4 edition of Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. Anybody nervous? Anybody a little concerned?